school, we witnessed a rather different picture where we saw registered voters arriving there in large numbers, and in some of those areas near KALOU town, we can see the numbers are still continuing to increase, and we expect that by the time IEBC closes the whole exercise, everybody will have gotten a chance to exercise their constitutional right. Back to you in studio, Mumbi.
Thank you so much, Mbataru, for that informative report there. Speaking to several people there who are voting, and of course speaking to observers from various places, like you've spoken to members from LSK Society, and of course we continue to observe everything. Dr. Makanga, if you observed, most polling stations seem to be closed, or not really closed, but people are not flowing in, but we saw people come in as early as 6 a.m. I don't know what you make of that. Is it that people did not turn out as much, or that people came out early enough to exercise that right?
I think from what I can see, like a lot of people have tried. I was in Malava, and what I saw was very disheartening. I can tell you, with more than 80,000 voters, and me, the ones who turned were almost 50%. So I think like a lot of people have tried. Let's see. But now the actual problem here is the issue of we are trying to assess the integrity of IEBC. Yeah, are they able to deal with the issue of primary issues during the voting day? Are they able to deal with the issue of violence on the voting day? And basically, are they able to do this thing in a fair and credible manner? The answer is as good as no, because you've seen what is happening, and the electoral rules are very clear. The question is who will enforce the electoral laws, so that people in Kenya are having good manners when we come for an election. You see, what actually annoys Kenyans is the issue of they put a lot of qualifications, people pay money, then you find somebody who has been a thief is the one who is being elected. Somebody who is involved in drugs is the one who is being elected. Somebody who people know in the public domain that this guy is a wrong guy, but you will find this guy is the one who is elected. Why? The issue of money being given on the voting day. I actually participated in 2022 elections, and I was running for my MCA seat at home. I won in 17 polling stations, and this guy won me in 3 polling stations only. 3 polling stations. I won in 17. This guy won me in 3 polling stations. And the issue is, what the guy simply did was that he took 20,000, gave to the officer of IEBC, and then he went further and made sure that all the 5 clerks, everybody was getting 555. He gave the police officer 5,000. He gave all the agents who were supposed to monitor for the other candidates 5,000 and told them to leave. And then he brought in a gang of around 30 guys to be able to be given 10 ballot papers, to be given 40 ballot papers. So within 30 minutes, we were having like around 500 ballot papers done in one polling station. Another one 500. And you know, for MCA, once somebody gives you a difference of 500, that is gone. Now, the question was, why did I not go to court? I mean, how do you go to court when your agents are the ones who have been compromised? Because the court will ask you, you had agents, where were they? So these are the issues that I'm saying. Unless IEBC tries to address bribery on the voting day, like what is happening right now in KALOU, where people are complaining that people are trying to dish out money on the voting day. And the issue here is, even if you take policemen, I mean, KALOU is a good one, where they say they can be able to give they said 1,000 police officers. Then when it comes to the actual elections, now that's where we got drama, because now you find one police officer in one polling station, and then people are giving money on the road one side, and the other ones are giving. So even if he follows this side, these guys, they change here, they are here, they change here, they are there. And I can tell you, you leave your house, somebody is just waiting for you, one door to the polling station, he gives you 500. And you know, for mamas from Ushago, what they are told, the machine is seeing you. So when you go there and you press, you put your finger there, and you get money from the government, or you get money, I'm telling you, the machine will see you. So, you know, very funny allegations. And you find when a mama goes there, he just says, no, me, I'm voting for the government. Me, I'm voting for the, because he has been told that the machine is seeing her when she puts her finger on there. So a lot of voter education is required. A lot of training is required, people to understand how to be able to bring in, but we should not go the way Tanzania went, and you bungle an election and you call yourself you are the president, you are a Form 4, you don't even meet the requirement for being a president, and then from there you take your opposition leader, you put him inside, and then you want to say you are the winner.
Okay.
I mean, these are some of the things that we are looking in Africa, and we are saying, wait a minute, are we safe? The answer is we are not, and we don't want to take a problem to reoccur again.
Right.
IBC should be able to actually bring out this election in a very fair manner, even if president wins, well and good. If the opposition wins, well and good. But us who are on the fence, we want to see transparency, we want to see election rules being followed, we want to see everything being done in a way that not where we are calling people from low side of Kenya or the other people are monitoring the elections, and when they come there, they are trying to cheat Kenyans. On the ground, everything is okay.
Exactly.
On the ground, people, there's nothing like being okay. I'm telling you, if you go on KALOU, you will find the money being dished out today.
All right. Sheikh, speaking of requirements and whatnot, I know our politics deals so much with and dwells on party politics, UDA, DCP, Jubilee, and whatnot. Looking at the candidates, do you think there's any right candidates if you are voting in KALOU?
Thank you so much. You see, from what I'm seeing here in KALOU, it's just the politicians muscling each other out. It's not about the candidates or about the wananchi. I've got my very good friend, Babu Wino. So far, there are people who are asking, which party will Babu go for? First and foremost, Babu is a brand. So I've asked Babu myself, and he told me, Sheikh, this party politics usually is just personal vehicles for some individuals. Today, Baba has gone, ODM is down. Tomorrow, Ruto goes, UDA goes. Okay, Jubilee, Uhuru is trying to revive it. So he was trying to tell me that if I am voted for Nairobi, what has ODM got to do with Nairobi? Because I'm supposed to come and present the problems of Nairobi on the floor.
Right.
So the people of Nairobi have, or let's say, like I'm going for MCA Parklands. Okay, I'm vying in the next election. So the people of Parklands put me in as the MCA. I'm supposed to bring their grievances on the floor. What has that got to do with Jubilee or ODM or something else? So this party politics, basically we are trying to see, is it possible for we the youth are trying to think, is it possible for us to remove parties from this equation? Like in Nairobi, we are thinking about a coalition called Timbabu. So under the coalition, I might go independent, you might go as UDA, you might go as Jubilee, it doesn't matter. But under the coalition, first and foremost, because I've come under a coalition, the governor, who inshallah most likely will be Babu, cannot force me to follow what he wants, because I've come.
So what would be the difference between that coalition and
now the coalition now
a party?
is because basically now what you are saying is now we have to protect the governor also. Okay, so this basically the coalition is for an individual. The same thing. This sort of party politics is sort of to just protect the individuals. Others, when you go to parliament or when you go to the county assemblies, you ask ourselves, are we the representatives of the people or are we representatives of the parties? So that is what we ask ourselves. The party politics, we are trying to see how we can reform it and get rid of it. It will not happen overnight. Remember, we have been fed this thing for long, and there's always this initiative of the two-horse race. The two-horse race, right now we are coming in as the Gen Z as the third force. Why are we doing that? Why are we not going with the opposition or Ruto? It's because what happens after elections, you will not know, but behind the scenes I've been the secretary Azimio Kalaji. So what happens now, resources were used. So they come and do the handshake and then they start getting the tenders and new wananchi mnasaulika. So what we are trying to see is we have to have a third force so that if these two guys try to go this way of handshake, there's a third force that will become the opposition. So that is what we are trying to need, that we have to protect the wananchi and not the interests of these politicians who have sort of made this politics return on investment.
Right. Ngoima, do you think we can ever get to that point where we can remove party politics when it comes to voting, really voting for this person because you believe in their ideologies? And do you think that parties can ever get to that point where we're a party because of our ideologies, issue-based politics? And also looking at KALOU, do you think there is any right candidate?
Thank you. I don't know whether I will fall within the electoral system where they'll accuse me of campaigning. But of course, if you ask me whether there's good candidate, I watched them on the, I don't know which station, I think one of your sister stations brought their debate. I quickly picked up the Jubilee candidate, Engineer Kegwa. He looks sober. He talks about what he has already done. He talks about going to the villages and as a philanthropic action has put electricity and has given people water long before he was running. And therefore I looked at him, and again, well-schooled and well-spoken, but very calm demeanor that perhaps deviates from the bad manners we've seen in Olkarau. So if I was to be voting there, I would certainly vote for him. And sometimes it's not just about voting for someone so that he wins, it's voting for someone because you believe in his leadership. About political parties in this country, I'll tell you one thing, and people think that President Uhuru Kenyatta is holding on to a political party. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln was elected on a Republican ticket. November 5, 2024, Donald Trump was elected on a Republican ticket. How many years after? 100 and something years after. And therefore what we need to do is to create political parties that have ideologies, invest in political parties so that, for example, we avoid these personality cults that are characterize our elections. So when Uhuru Kenyatta says, for example, I want to stabilize Jubilee, I want Jubilee to move in the right direction, and then I want to hand over. Because that's what I heard him say, and I want to hand over. Then he says, then for example, Jubilee brings a president like Matiang'i. Maybe they'll get it wrong 1, 2. But then if the party lives on, and if, for example, the team that is taking over ODM agrees that ODM must have a succession plan and then becomes a political party that gets, for example, Jubilee gets the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and then maybe 2027 they get another president. Right. That would now be a very strong message to, if Matiang'i wins the presidency, that don't kill this party. This party can get us another president in 2062 or even 2050, 2032. So we need to build a culture of political parties. It has worked in other countries. I don't see why it shouldn't work in a country like Kenya. ANC has produced every South African president since 1994 when Nelson Mandela was elected president. And therefore there's nothing really to suggest that we cannot have proper functioning political parties that will now kill the culture of tribal political parties, that will kill the culture of a personality cult around an individual, so that if that individual decides I am not running, the party is wound up. Political parties belong to people. And like Jeremiah Kioni used to say, on the register of the Register of Political Party, Jubilee is the party with the highest number of people. We have 7 million people. If those people were to believe in it and vote as a bloc, then that is a party to beat. And therefore we need to encourage the development of ideological-based political parties so that this country can also sanitize the political process.
Right. Dr. Makanga, perception is everything, and I don't know what will happen if the UDA candidate wins in terms of the perception in Mount Kenya region and them receiving money, them receiving goodies, receiving development projects. What will that signal to the other constituencies, the other wards, the other counties?
I think I'm telling you, it's going to be things are going to be because the truth is a test of political strength for Mount Kenya. Yes, we want to see what Honorable Kashako has been telling us, that he's the guy on the ground. Want to see it. If Uda wins, that means, a true reflection on the ground. Things are different. Yes, money has been given, which is an electoral offense. But the issue is, we have to make sure that we get it and see who is fooling who here. If at all DCP candidate wins, then we are able to say, actually, DCP is the party to watch in Mount
Do you
Kenya.
think anyone is fooling anyone?
Of course, if at all Uda wins, then it means that the Mount Kenya region, I think, has been fooling our friend Kashako, if we don't get through. And the issue of political parties, as my friend has said, I think we have a problem, a very serious problem. We can't be having every election we have a different party that wins the election. Every election we have a different party. And I'm telling you, if there's a place that there's serious corruption, there is serious problems, is political parties. That's where the mess begins. And you will find very good candidates being dropped at the political party level because me, I know you, and we are friends. I'll just give you the party license, the party nomination ticket under the table. So people are making noise. We are saying that things will happen. Let me give you a very bad example that happened in Malaba. This teacher is may his soul rest in peace. He was my cousin. Yeah, this gentleman was the principal of Bungoma High School. Yeah, he's actually told, please, he is supposed to retire some 3 years to come. He's doing very well academically. He's a doctor like me. We are neighbors at home. The guy's done very well. I can tell you the guy did very well in terms of development. His family could be able to survive well in case he lives. But now, this gentleman comes in and is told he's running on a ticket. 5 candidates are being told, can you come in? And so along the way, Musalia comes in. Musalia comes in and says, no. I closed my party. ANC, and the only party now, the only guy I want us to support is now the current guy who won the election. And now on the ground, this guy has spent a lot of money. He has spent more than 10 million, you see, trying to push the agenda of UDA.
Yeah.
Then Musalia comes, he does an event in the home of this other gentleman. So what happened to my cousin? He goes there and he's shocked and he collapses and he dies. Choppers are there to be able to take this guy to the nearest medical facility, because they carried him from there in a vehicle, and the earliest they could get in Kakamega was like around maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Unfortunately, this guy died, and may his soul rest in peace. So the issue is the unfairness in political parties. I think is one of the biggest problems that we are having in Kenya, which must be solved in terms of how fair, even if you are the one who is fair on the ground. This issue of Kisii having a political party, Luyas having a political party, Wakambas having a political party, now Jubilee being looked at, Mount Kenya, but this bill looked at, like, these things, I think, just spoiling the mathematics in terms of fair politics in Kenya. And I think, as my friend has said, I think there comes a time when we should just have a serious political party like ANC, something that can be able to be looked at the way KANU was there for almost 25 years. But as we are speaking right now, we have more than 100 political parties, and even more are being registered.
But
and
would you say KANU was ideology in terms of what it stood for?
I mean, KANU was not. I mean, KANU, you know, I was one of the bodyguards for President Moi, and I know what was happening. I mean, these guys were staffing wards, seriously staffing wards, and you cannot blame Moi per se, because I was a bodyguard for President Moi. Moi didn't have issues. It's like what is happening in Uganda. I can tell you for free. I've been an advisor for President Museveni for 5 good years. Yeah, from 2010 up to 2015. Yeah, the problem is not Museveni. The problem is the guys who went with him in the bush. And these guys are very old, very old. They tell this old man, who are we leaving this thing for? We fought in the bush. Who are we leaving these things for? We can't live for Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is just a young guy. Now, the youths in Uganda do not know these things of the bush. I can tell you. Some of them were born after that bush thing, because they don't know. But now the issue is, we've got people who've clinged on this thing, and they are telling Museveni, my friend, hang on until you die. Then from there we can be able to give you this thing to your son, because we are not safe. What we have actually taken, we are not safe. Now the same thing is now what I think is going to happen. It has happened in a place like Tanzania. I was in Tanzania and I was asking citizens, guys, do you like Mama? You're telling me, don't even ask that question, because we can be picked any time. Don't even ask that question. We don't like her. But now she fluked the whole thing, using the system, using the police, and that is it. Well, that's the problem we're having in Africa, where political parties are not showing democracy. We're having a very big problem in Africa, and this will continue being there. Uganda is a very good example, and I'm very sure if the gentleman, Bobby Wine, could have not found a way to run away out of that country, I'm sure he could be in Luzira right now as we speak.
Right, and this thing of African presidents wanting to cling on to power for the longest time. Even here in Kenya, you've had some members of parliament and leaders and talking about, oh, the president's term should be extended to 7 years and whatnot. What do you make of this? What needs to change? Is it our constitution? Is it what needs to happen? That urge of them wanting to just be there for the longest.
Before I answer your question, you know, I was listening to my colleague who was talking about Uhuru Kenyatta and Jubilee. But I would ask myself, because I was the one who led the prayers for Jubilee from 2013 to 2018, all along, because I sincerely believed in Uhuru. He was a much better person than Ruto. But what was stopping Uhuru from handing over that party when he was president? Because when you're a president, you should start delegating those powers. The problem with us in Africa, we don't know how to groom the youth. Once we get a seat, we want to sit on it forever. And I remember my icon, Mo Ibrahim, in one of the interviews, he was like, what is wrong with Africa? A guy at 84 is being held by 2 people and he still wants to lead us. Lead us where? To the grave. Lead us where? To the grave. This is guy who mugumoje kwa kaburi tayari and he still wants to lead us.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. When Uhuru Kenyatta was retiring, he said, hey, he's very young. What do you mean very young? But on the other hand, I look at it. If we have a good leader, why should we limit his terms? If you have got a good wife, why should you change her to bring another wife just because she has built your home? If this man, you see, this is the thing that the West is always selling to us, but then they have matured in democracy, unlike us here in Kenya. In Kenya, democracy hardly has matured. So if we have a president who has brought development, and like Kibaki, okay, let's give the issue of Moi Kibaki.
But no matter how good of a president you are, your term has to come to an end.
That's what the constitution says. I'm now going the African way. Let us think as Africa. That if I have a person who is running the country very smoothly, what should be done is that he should be told to groom someone so that by the time he's finishing his term, or we can add one more term the way we did for Ronald Reagan. In Ronald Reagan, we went for 3 terms. Why? Because he was running the country very well. So you can add 1 term. So this one now makes the person in power comfortable. But when he knows, like you see with Moi, during our childhood days, we had free education. It was not Kibaki who bought it. Moi, it was free education. We used to get milk in the school. Okay? The only time Moi became, should we say, a villain is when now he saw that the power is going. That is when now he became very aggressive after 90s. So in other words, we have got to look at both sides of the coin. That on one side, yes, we are limiting the term. On the other side, I was also on the public participation when Chelagai had brought in the bill of increasing the term limit for the president and other governors and so forth. And if you look at that video, I gave very basic facts of why that term should not be increased. But when it comes to party politics, our friend is saying we have to mature. But with who? Because you guys are not ready to hand over or groom, not even hand over, groom the youth into position. Like right now, I'm in Linda Mwananchi. But sad to say, you find the same senators, the same governors are the ones who are given the podium to speak. You as a senator should be showing what you're doing on the ground. You don't need to speak on the podium. You should just be introduced that Senator Fulani iko hapa, Governor Fulani iko hapa. The young aspirants who are coming in who don't have the resources to go around campaigning hardly get the chance to speak or hardly get the chance to even meet the principals and tell them this is what we need on the ground. So if Linda Mwananchi, which we basically believe as youth, we are the ones who have held on to it, we are not being listened to. So what will you do? We will try and form another thing. Or what we will do is now we will sort of be accommodated into the current system. So basically we will have done nothing. That if you look from 2024, when we came into the streets, we did not come because we wanted to go for political office. No, that was not our intention. Our intention was, this is the finance bill, can you review it? That was the easiest thing for Ruto to do. He will just have reviewed the finance bill and said, ABCD, let's change it. But he came down very hard on us. And what happened? We became more aggressive. Today we are stronger than what we were at that time. Today we are more informed as the youth, and the citizens are more informed than what we were at that time.
Nguima, do you think what Sheikh is saying is reasonable?
Maybe first is, he said President Reagan served for 3 terms. I think he served for 2 terms. The only president in America who served more than 1 term was President Roosevelt. And this is a man who guided America through the Great Depression. It was the Great Depression and the Second World War. And there was a reason. In fact, he didn't serve for 3 terms, he served for 4 terms. And the American Constitution at that time did not even provide for a 2 term. It was silent, but every president since George Washington resigned voluntarily after 4 years, after serving for 2 terms, 8 years. And then they amended their constitution, I think in 1951, to ensure that they put actually a term limit to their presidency. But besides that, I agree largely with what he's saying. But let's look at our country. And I always say that It is much easier to worship a dead hero than to recognize and follow a living prophet. People talk about the development of Mwai Kibaki, but I challenge people, I want us to sit down and write what Kibaki did and what Uhuru did. Uhuru tremendously transformed this country into something that everyone, wherever they were, felt it. When we were growing up, and you got, for example, a B plane sometimes, and even sometimes a B minus, you couldn't even join the university. Why? Because the university placement slots were so few. Uhuru just comes and says, it doesn't matter. Even these private universities are owned by Kenyans, and we are going to take our students there. Let everybody go and study there, and you are a government student. There is, I mean, he did quite a bit. In terms of development, he doubled the tarmac. I mean, 15 years of Mzee Kenyatta, 24 years of Moi, 10 of Kibaki, he did times 2 the amount of tarmac that this country had. There is a story about Uhuru that has not been told about in this country, but largely is because as sitting president, he was deputized by a very reckless deputy president whose work was to attack him and give stories that were negative about government. But there's a debate that was going on there, the Law Society of Kenya, observers, talk about the electoral system going on very smoothly. This is now where electoral pharisees begin. The electoral process is not on the election day. It starts before elections. We have the pre-election period, which is the period through which all the electoral malpractice, bribery, election preparedness. For example, in Olkarau, there was a recruitment of all polling clerks. It was done there. There was a recruitment of presiding officers. There was now and then there is the returning officer. That process, and then there will be what we call this is what we call the system, the system, the process, and the people. All of that has already happened. So if the process is rigged, then on the election day, all that people do is that because they are diligent Kenyans and they are decent Kenyans and they know what their civic responsibility is to wake up and walk into a polling station. Then you get a very compromised clerk, you get a very compromised IBC, and then you have a messed up system with a pre-entered data. I mean, these innocent Kenyans would know that has happened. So the process is already done. There is an iceberg under the sea. They haven't seen it. Then there is the post-election process, which is now the process that tests the credibility of the exercise of the election. There is the voter tallying, there is the counting, there is the announcement, all these things. Now, even 2007, the voting was so smooth. There was zero violence. We all went into the ballot box station, polling stations, got ballot boxes that were very transparent, and we cast our votes and we put in. Now, the previous period before election, the political temperatures had been taken so high, and then the government was accused of rigging the process, and then the consequential effect is that even the chairman of IBC did not know who won. So we must not fall into that trap of these observers. Some of them are also, they can come there, and because I am, for example, the LSK representative in Nyandarua, and I'm not casting aspersion, he is not a person from mass. He's not beyond reproach. They're not Caesar's wife. They could also be compromised to come and be
so
observers.
anybody could be compromised.
Government hires observers who pretend to be neutral, but they are agents of state. So we must be very careful. Then there is 2 institutions that are on trial, IBC and the National Police Service.
Yes.
Those institutions are on trial. Now, you talked about what happens if, for example, the Gachagua or DCP loses this election. Let me tell you what will happen, because I'm from Mount Kenya. What happens is that he is humbled and he is forced to listen to people, because many leaders accuse him of not listening. Even, for example, let's go to Mbere. DCP may have been a political party there, Jubilee. Jubilee withdrew its candidate in Mbere in favor of a DP candidate. Why? Because Justin Muturi came from the United, and is in DP, and the candidate who was MP before was Rocco, who was DP, and therefore that argument was very, very well sold out. And then we said, okay, let's leave it to DP in the spirit of a united opposition. Then now come Olkarau, where the seat was held by Kerao. The same logic, the same common sense did not apply because of this bravado. So perhaps also, if he loses this election, we will look at him and say, by the way, Jubilee had the better candidate, but the hype and the Rocket Man syndrome that has characterized DCP and UDA was taken to Olkarau, and consequently, they won. Now, let me tell you something. Olkarau, 10 billion shillings, that's what Moses Kuria told us. 10 billion shillings has been deployed there. I can tell you they can win that seat, but they are not able to deploy 2.9 trillion because we have 290 constituencies on election dates.
On election dates.
They won't be able to. And then they have put 1,000 police officers. Let me tell you, the total number population of police officers in Kenya is between 115 and 120. They don't have 290,000 to take to every constituency. And then they don't have about 60-something thousand to put in every station. So they can do what they want to do here. But the sad reality is that they have invested their mind, their soul, and their body in Olkarau. If they fail, if they fail, then this experiment is like the one that was being done by Joseph Mengele on human beings, the Nazi people. It will be a disaster of untold proportions.
Not laughable, but thank you so much. And of course, we continue to observe voting that is going on in various polling stations. In KALOU, we can see there is security, seemingly calm, and everything is going. Just for clarification, by the way, Ronald Reagan served for just 2 terms. Franklin Roosevelt served for 4 terms. So yes. Ngoima was right, yeah. All right, let's come to you, Dr. Makanga. Do you agree with Ngoima when it comes to maybe, he's spoken about Jubilee and of course DCP party, how every party in the united opposition gave way for the DP party in Bere North. But we didn't see that scenario in KALOU. DCP decided to go all the way and did not give way to the Jubilee candidate, given that the previous person or member of parliament who held the seat was a Jubilee person. So do you think that Gachagua should have given way?
Yes, but now the problem is the way Kenyan politics normally works. You know, DCP has come after Jubilee. Yes, and you know, sometimes you may blame this guy, you may blame Gachagua. If you look at his background, where he came from, you know, Gachagua is those old deals, those old, you know, those guys. It's either you do it,
just decided to call him all.
So with that type of training, you don't expect Gachagua to tell you or kiss you or do what, my friend. Gachagua is somebody who was brought up in a very, you know, you either do it or you don't. And number two, they sometimes.
But what about consensus and
that's
teamwork?
what I'm telling you. You see, Gachagua, if there are some people, he can forgive you, forget it and move on. But I'm telling you, Gachagua is not that type. He's not that type. The issue is, he feels very painful to have actually played a very significant role, a very big role in putting this government in place by making sure that he mobilizes the Mount Kenya vote to vote for the current president. Unfortunately, along the way, these guys could not agree. And then from there, the guy is shown parking. But also, I also look at something and ask, I think the former president, sometimes people blame him, but I always say, Uhuru, I think the leadership skills he has, I think just exceptional. Yes. From the presidents we've had since independence, I think God gave him some sort of, you forget it. I'm sure if I was Ruto, or the people who actually advised Ruto, I could have told my team, just forget about him. Let him roam around to what, but the issue of impeachment could not have come in. Because also, he was a thorn in the flesh for the former president. And I'm telling you, Uhuru just try to persevere. Yani, you just persevere somebody for the term to end and you move away and something like that. But now, this gentleman, Gachagua, is that type of hard guy who says, if it's a potato, it's a potato. If it's a yam, it's a yam. Let's fire. So, you cannot come his way and say that you could bring another candidate. Comparatively, as my colleagues have said, actually the TP candidate is more focused, more educated, looks more sober. Unfortunately, you heard what they're saying. You better vote for the devil. The devil, you don't know that the angel that. No, so that's where the problem will come in. The issue, these guys are looking at. I talked to many of them. They would rather go for this guy than the gun taking it. But now there's an disadvantage, which my colleague has talked about. If they play wrong, what's going to happen is that those votes are going to be spoiled. You'll find Jubilee has taken a chunk of it, DCP has taken a chunk of it, and you find a candidate from the government passing in the middle. Right. That's what normally happens in some of these elections, where you find you have a very good candidate, but because of and that's why you find people are really crying. They are saying, guys, please save us save us. If you want to take the president home, then can you make sure that you look for a candidate, compromised candidate that you agree on, and then you have also a compromised candidate you agree on, number 2. Then from there, these guys are able to unite the country and are able to move on.
Okay.
But now the problem here is personal interests. Those personal interests are the ones that have actually messed us, because you will find somebody saying, let's assume they picked Kalonzo Musyoka as the presidential candidate. They picked Sifuna as number 2. Yeah. Matiang'i says no. Pressure from the ground. No. As we didn't want to talk number 2 or number 1. We wanted number 1. So what's going to happen? He'll say, come shine, come rain, I must appear on the ballot. Now, if that happens the way it has been happening, because you look at Kenyan politics from when multi-party came in, that has been the undoing of the opposition. You play very well, then you forget. Now, coming to last year's election, the 2022, yeah, the issue is Kibichu was the government, Raila was the government, Uhuru was the government. So what happened? The issue is you just fail to understand the basics, and from there, this team just exploits you, and at the end of the day, these guys get in. Yeah. The issue here is people must be able to plan themselves well and know that anything can happen as far as elections are concerned. I'm a son of a bishop, and I learned the hard way. I used to think politics is about good people being integrated. I learned that in politics, my friend, we are talking about being shrewd and making sure that things move the way you want them to move without compromising. And that's why the issue of goons, whether the police do what, yeah? The issue of goons as far as 2000. Look at what is happening in Nakuru. Look at what's happening in Nairobi. Just look at what's happening with the current governors. You think you will snag this thing from their mouth when they are singing like this? No way. Somebody will say, I would rather hire goons to make sure they deal with this man, so that I'm able to get this thing. And that's now where we are missing the point. And we must pray, God, that it touches people to be able to know. When you go somewhere, people are making noise. People think you are the guy who is being supported so much. But on the ground, you'll find that people are getting there. They just want to eat our government money that has been sent to the ground through the devolution, which was a very nice idea of sending the money back to us in the counties.
Right.
But what is happening? People are trying to use this thing to make money. You will see any big project you see in the counties, you'll be told this one belongs to the governor.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Sheikh, talking about, the previous holder of this seat was a Jubilee candidate. And KALOU was against the tide in the 2022 elections. They voted for a Jubilee candidate against UDA, which dominated the Mount Kenya region. So, and what does that say about them? We keep talking about DCP, we keep talking about UDA, but if they did that in 2022, do you think they can pull something like that today?
Yes, I will not rule it out. You see, the thing is, Kenyan politics is decided by 3 major issues: a narrative, a tribalism, and cash. No one asks you for your manifesto. Very few people. That's why, and these politicians have learned a very cunning way. If you see when they're doing campaign, they will not go to the high-grade areas. They go to the slums, because they know the slums either buy the narrative or the tribalism or the cash. These are the 3 issues that stand out when it comes to being elected anywhere. So KALOU went against the tide. Can it give us a surprise? Yes, it can. But on the other hand, the way I say it, these politicians make elections, it's like a personal issue for them. It's not about our issues. And that is where we are saying that, the way my friend said, we need civic education. We need a lot of civic education to make the masses understand that this 1,000 shilling, because I know I've been on the ground, and these so-called goons that you're saying, in Kisumu, they sort of hang onto our cars. Sabu, there's one of our ladies, she went and said, I'm going for women's representative. And when she had finished talking, mheshimiwa tukupeleka kwa gari. So by the time they were taking her to the car, sasa utoe kitu kidogo, tumekuleta mpaka gari. And they basically broke our car, they nearly broke our car kama tungewapatia pesa. So these guys, it's poverty. It's poverty that is there. It's not just about gouvernism. I usually call it poverty, not even poverty. But the politicians usually keep the masses ignorant. They don't want to do civic education. They don't want to spend money in civic education. IBC spends trillions of money, and we don't even know where that money goes. Okay, so first and foremost, we need civic education. then should Jubilee win that seat, I think that will be a better option than anything else.
Interesting.
That will make us understand that Ole KALOU residents are thinking maturely. That will make us think that our politics in Kenya is maturing.
It's maturing.
Okay? And for us, you know, Ole KALOU is sort of like, the way I say it's a blueprint for what is coming in 2027.
2027.
And now, just as I finish up, is I want us, especially the media, I want to appeal to you that please help us, the youth, reach out and do civic education.
Okay.
Remember those who are watching us on TV or on radio, these are the literate people, but what about the masses?
All right, thank
The
you, Sheikh.
door-to-door campaign.
Thank you, Sheikh. And of course, we are keeping a very close eye in Ole KALOU constituency where people or residents are still voting, casting their vote there. We will going to be monitoring everything that is happening there. And of course, we have Mbataru Mwangi who will be updating us as we go on. For now, we're going to be taking a short break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Our shared experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibu kwa vibe genje za Kenya. Hizi ni zetu zetu.
Kwa zile shaglasi uchapa ndio fobi jipe na watu wa moke
Pia usisahau
kuna ile uwaga ni zufala umbwakni yenye inabamba raia. TikTok ama uende jehanamu. Niende jehanamu samaki ya matope.
hapa ndio home za madoa ambazo zina donjo, yani sherehe ni sheria na sherehe ni lazima.
Naambiaje?
Ndio ile place wa Kenya hutambulika ni wa Kenya.
Tunasemaje?
Karibu milele
100% Kenya.
Zetu baba.
Buda iko loud 100% Kenyan. Tunawakilisha milele.
Praise the living God. I am Evangelist Lucy Wagojiri from K24TV. I am coming to you with a new program, Moments of Grace and Hope for our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, when evil escalates, when pain is within us, when we don't know what to do next, what do we do? And the answer is one. Ladies and gentlemen, to get the nation back on her feet, we must get down on our knees. 2 Chronicles 7:14. And God will never let Kenya go.
K24TV. Our shared experience.
Words have power.
Hospitali hakuna madawa yet politician ana tablets anapeleka bibi for a treat. So you join the dots. Allow ya dukuduku.
Verses have rhythm.
Kwa street mi wanatumia mbinu zote literally kuwa rich, na kwa poetry mi wanatumia mbinu zote literally kuwa rich.
Stories have a voice.
The leaves can return to the trees, the water to the sea, the bullet back to the gun.
Rhythm of poetry.
So baby girl,
Minister of Enjoyment,
unanipa sleepless nights by the way.
I want baby girl treatment.
Join the verbalist as we discover the voices shaping today's spoken word culture.
Unabraibiwa na 50, unajua vizuri life si 50-50. Mama mboga kuna beef for 7 days amesukuma wiki.
Every Saturday from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. only on K24 TV, our shared experience.
It's now time to enjoy Hookup Legitia Entertainment. What if ungepata all you love to watch in one place? Kutoka action movies, African movies, series, hata makatunza watoi za kuwabamba nazo. K24 Plus ndio hookup legit ya entertainment. It's available on all your devices kwa Android TV au Apple TV yako, lapi, tablet ama tenje. Download sasa hivi from Play Store and App Store. Oh yeah, it's 100% free. Unangoja?
Thank you for watching K24. Would love to hear from you. Hit us up. Let us know what you need, what you don't like, and why. You can reach us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and WhatsApp. K24TV, our shared experience.
True understanding requires more than a headline. The People Daily app delivers our trusted in-depth journalism directly to you. Get comprehensive reporting, insightful political analyses, and special features optimized for your life on the go. Get the stories that deserve your attention wherever you are. The People Daily app. News that moves with you.
Kama invite yangu haikufika on time, but I'm glad to be here anyway.
She was my rival. My competitor. We need to shut this business down.
Hii biashara ndo kila kitu kwenye hii familia. Nikufe ama nisikufe. Kama mbaya.
We ni mnoma sana.
One truth can break everything.
Sit.
K24 TV, our shared experience.
All right, thank you so much for staying here with us on Kamembe TV and K24. We continue to give you all the updates coming live from KALOU constituency in Nyandarua County, where voting is going on. And right now we are going to be speaking to our reporter Francis Wawira, who is in one of the polling stations to give us an update on how the process is going, how IEBC is conducting this whole process. Francis, if you can hear me, it's good to see you. How's the process so far?
Shukran Mombi, na kupata vizuri kutoka hapa kaunti ya Nyandarua, eneo bunge la KALOU. Na ukweli ni kwamba wakazi wa hapa wamejitokeza kwa wingi zaidi ili kuhakikisha kwamba wamemchagua mbunge wao mpya ambaye atawawakilisha kwa muda wa miezi 13. Kama unavyoona ni kwamba wakazi wako hapa wamejitokeza, na kwa sasa nimekita kambi katika kituo cha Nyakiambi ambayo iko ndani ya wandi ya Mirangini. Na ukweli ni kwamba wakazi wamejitokeza, na tunaweza tu zungumza na mmoja hapo. Karibu sana, hapa ni K24. Zungumza na sisi tu kidogo. Hapa ni K24, halafu tuweze kutueleza ulifika saa ngapi na unatarajia nini? Kwa majina?
Kwa majina naitwa Jane. Nilifika hapa saa 4 na tuko hapa kwa line inaenda vizuri. Tunagojea jioni, tunafikiri matokeo itakuwa mazuri.
Unatarajia haki yako itaonekana kupitia kura ambayo utaweza kuweka kwa ballot?
Haki yako itapatikana. Na najua wenye wako huko watafanya mambo mazuri. Hakuna kitu cha kuwa baya.
Shukran sana. Tunaweza pata mzee mwingine hapa, unaweza anza kwa majina yako alafu tueleze. Ndio naona uko karibu kuingia kwenye kituo cha uchaguaji. Wewe je, una matarajio yapi na ulikuja hapa saa ngapi?
Okay, sisi kwa majina ni Joseph Meru. Mimi ni mkaaji hapa KALOU. Na tuna expect kula itapigwa kwa amani. Na tuna hope mwenye tunataka ataingia.
Asante sana. Hapa kuna mwingine. Shukrani baba yetu. Karibu sana. Hapa ni K24. Nimeona umeweza kupiga kura. Unaweza kutueleza huko ndani umeenda mpangilio wa mambo iko namna gani huko?
Sawa sawa. Iko kwa jina naitwa Titus Madenge. Huko mpangilio wa IBC iko sawa sawa. Na hakuna maneno mingi. Ni kufuti tu.
So unatarajia nini ambapo after umevote? Unatarajia nini?
Natarajia mambo mazuri.
Shukran zaidi, umeweza kuelewa kwamba umeweza kusikiza wakaaji wa hapa. Amefurahia kwamba ameweza kuchaguana na anajua haki yake ya kuchaguana itaweza kufika huko kwa Tarring Center ambapo mbunge mpya ataweza kukua anajulikana ni nani. Sina mambo mingi, na kutoka hapa tunaenda katika kituo kingine ili kuhakikisha kwamba tumejua ni yepi ambayo yanaendelea kujitokeza katika eneo bunge la Olkalau. Kwako Mombi, kutoka huku Nyakiambi, mimi naitwa Francis Wawira.
Now, thank you so much, Francis Wawira, giving us an update in one of the polling stations on how things are going. People still turning out. He will be going to a different polling station to just update us on what is going on and all the issues that are there. Voting for their next member of parliament, a very heated issue between UDA, of course. We have DCP, Jubilee, and other parties there. We'll continue to update you on everything that will be going on in Olkalau constituency in Nyandarua County as the members or residents of that constituency continue to cast in their votes. Let's come to you, Dr. Makanga. The whole issue of tokenism in Kenya it's a big deal. It's a horrible thing, and we've seen it in Olkalau. We saw it previously in Bere and other regions in other areas. It's always present during every election. How do we deal with this issue of politics of tokenism?
It cannot end because one, I've told you, the referee is you see and you don't say. Yesterday I was talking to one of the election officials and I was asking him, I'm told this guy is carrying people from this constituency and bringing them. And you know what he told me? It's allowed. It's allowed. It's not an offense. This is an election, an IBC election official telling me it's not an offense. So what people are normally doing is that for you to be able to conduct votes, to get a lot of votes, you carry people from here, you put them here. Number two, the issue of poverty. What happened in Malava, I was there personally, I saw. It was a question of if the opposition has got a rally in one end, you simply border 3 guys, and then from there you find your way to that place. When you hear the government is coming on the other side, you are able to move on. So the issue of poverty has been a problem, and of course, when you talk about poverty, we are saying you cannot be employed as a police officer or as an army officer unless you use shortcuts, and that's why you find the police are having issues on terms of the officers who are on board, because long time ago you could get into the police without anybody helping you, as long as you meet the requirements that are put in place. You would go to the field and you are taken. But right now what's happening is that we have got guys who have got route to their parents have got money, they are able to buy their way, and they get in the National Police Service. You find now the IG is struggling to make sure that he puts order, because somebody joins the National Police Service and wants to focus on being a traffic policeman, where he sees money is ready to be able to move on. And this has been a very big problem that the society is rotting. And I'm telling you, the issue of money being given by politicians will not end. It will only end if IBC is able to implement that rule that says you will not give out money, you won't be able to get chaos. People sign that thing, that form that you sign that you can't give out money, you will be in violence, all those things that you sign as a candidate. And then from there, IBC does not take action. They just see people giving out money. And there are so many videos circulating on the ground where women are lined up and are being given. I saw one, people being given 5,000 each. So if somebody can be able to give like around 100 people 5,000 each, you can imagine how much money. That's almost like half a million. Now, that is what is actually driving the two things. There's no question about strategy. There's no question about you want to help members of the public. It's a question of how much money do you have. And in the Kenyan politics, I can tell you, you have no money. Stop it. Go and sell tomatoes or something like that. You have no money, because you will talk to people and they will ask you a simple question. Unatuacha tu hivi. Yani you're just leaving us like that. Forget about it. Right. And the rumor will go. They will just even post on the wall. Yeah. I remember there's a time when I went for a rally one time, and in my opponent's place. And my friend, after I finished, people asking for money. So what I did was that I gave out almost like around 60,000. Yeah, the money was not enough. So me, I drove off. You know what happened on the next time on the social media? My opponent had posted that I've called people for a rally and I'm unable to give them what? To give the money, and I've already given out already. So the issue is our politics is driven by money, and people are used to that. There's nothing you can do. You cannot get in politics without money. My friend, you'll be cheating. You go for a funeral. After you talk to people asking you are leaving the, you have to give the people who have been bereaved money. And after that, people will leave the funeral, they will go to wait for you outside, they block your vehicle, they want you to give out money. If you can't give out money, your opponent will use that as a weapon to finish your political ambition. Basically, that's what is happening in Kenya right now. And the only person who can strike a whip is nothing but IEBC. They must put the house in. They have enough time to prepare. They have enough time to put monitors on the ground. They have enough time to make sure that every constituency has got monitors to see what's happening. They take photos, they take, and they're able to use that. Yeah? And like now, what we had from Malava, where a whole judge is telling the whole court that, yes, the PS was giving out mattresses. Yes, the PS was giving out money. Yes, the PS was giving out. Now, can you prove that the people that he was giving out money were voters for Malava? I mean.
Right. Sheikh, the first thing that these leaders do when they get into power, parliament, or become governors and so on, is try and get the money back in their pockets.
Yes.
Because they use a lot of money during campaign period. So how does a Kenyan expect your leader, the first thing they're going to do is get that money back, whether he used 50 million, 100 million, whatever it was. So how should Kenyans expect any development from a leader whose first priority is getting their money back? And the reason that is because when he goes to campaign, lazima apatiane kitu.
Yes, thank you so much. First and foremost, when it comes to what my colleague here said about importation of voters, I know I am very aware I'm vying in Parklands. A lot of the voters that the current MP and the former MP have do not reside in Westlands. But because the Westlands people, most of them are the Asian community, they don't go for CDF. So these guys have registered there to collect CDF. I know it. That is what happens. So because you find most of the electorate in Westlands comes from a certain community. When you find out where they are living, it's not Westlands. Or they don't even have business interests in Westlands. But because of CDF, they're ready to do that. And the way you're being told it's legal. It's not legal. If you don't have a business interest in that area, and if you don't have a residential in that area, you cannot vie in that area, you cannot vote in that area. So I think basically that IBC guy was lying to you. Secondly, the question that you have asked. During Bungela Gen Z, we used to have a Bungela Gen Z at Aga Khan Walk. And one of my topics was this. You go down on the ground, unaambiwa rekedo. Magara mere, magara matano. Yani leta pesa. Ukisema hauna, nikie na wewe sheikh. So when I give you that 200, wewe sio mama yangu ama dada yangu. When I go back to parliament, I start picking how much I've spent and how I'll get it back. Then unaanza kusema sheikh is corrupt. It's not corruption, it's return on investment. Okay, we have to now start demystifying this thing that you have to give handouts. My friend Boniface Mwangi, who is running for presidential, he has printed a note. I wish I had known I would have come that note. It is like 1,000 shillings. Lakini he has printed it himself and has printed kwamba corruption and the effects. And he has put his photo. So I gave it to a police officer. And when I give it to you, you might think it's money. Inakaa kabisa kama shilingi 1,000. Nini unanipatia? So you see, he expected money. He took it. He took it very gladly. He did not look at the message and he started abusing me. Nini unanipatia? So in other words, we are trying to demystify. It will take time. But that is the issue on the ground. Even with those that you are working around with. Okay? Leave alone even the knee. Even when the media guys come on the ground, they ask for knee for facilitation. It has become the norm. These days, like myself, I'm seen around in Linda Mwananchi and with the principals. Kila sana uliza na sheikh wewe unatembea ni kwani umesota. So you see, they don't expect that. They expect you to give them some token. And then when they vote based on that token, they don't think that even if I give you 1,000 shillings, 1,000 shillings for 5 years, that means 200 shillings per year.
Per year.
What does that mean per day? Not even a shilling per day, because they are need. But People are so, and I think the political class has done this intentionally to keep the masses so poor and so ignorant that is ready to take 1,000 shillings. We can very well see openly in the videos the MPs for in Kisii giving the borders 1,000 shillings openly. And where's the NCIC? Where's anti-corruption? Where are they? These are bodies that are just earning salaries, and that's what I'm saying. Anti-corruption, NCIC, Ombudsman, IPOA should be disbanded. They have no role in this country. They are just earning salaries, and most of these guys are politically appointed. Okay? Last but not least, when it comes to violence, I have worked with some peace groups, and they have given me a logo that I would like to share here today. Your safety, my responsibility.
Okay.
Amani yako jukumu langu. When we start doing this narrative kwamba your safety is my responsibility, we start become neighborly, and we start now coming back as a society, so that when come 2027, we will try and avoid this violence, because this is the only country we have.
Right.
And in Africa, we are the only hub of peace. If we spoil this country, we will never get it back.
Right. Ngoima, how hard is it to tell someone, a Kenyan, maybe suffering, they have a family, a young person, they have to make ends meet, they don't have a job, they don't have this. I mean, they're not doing well. How do you tell such a person, say no to tokenism?
It's very hard. The problem, it's very hard to tell someone who is suffering to stop tokenism.
Yes.
But nothing stops you from telling him, even if you eat this money, vote right. Or nothing stops him from voting right even after taking that money. Of course, I am not a subscriber to the school of thought that encourages people to take tokenism and then vote right. I am one of those people who believe that they should not take tokenism and they should not encourage it, because this is money taken from, this is a country where we have read reports that we can't give patients in Kenyatta National Hospital food. So that is money taken from a patient given to you. And because you don't have to encourage that culture of tokenism. Of course, there is no dignity in poverty.
Right.
And what we are experiencing in Kenya today, we read a World Bank report, I think it was published this month, saying that another 2.5 million Kenyans will fall below the poverty line this year.
That's hard.
I mean, if we can't understand this kind of language and we continue taking tokenism, we have a problem as a country.
Right.
So I think in our oversight institutions, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the police, the judiciary, parliament, they have all let us down. And I don't know whether we have a way out of it. I don't think we have a way out of it. We have seen the government telling us that that we have gone to KALOU because there is no specific time when we can't do development. There is no relationship between this money we are giving to these young people and the election, because this is empowerment. Even who doesn't know that empowering a person is giving him education, empowering a person is creating job opportunities, and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ngoima. We are keeping an update in KALOU. Of course, we continue to discuss the ongoing process. And right now, I'm told we are going to be speaking to Mbataru Mwangi, who is on ground. He is at a polling station to just give us an update on what is currently happening, the state of security. Mbataru, if you can hear me.
Thank you very much, Mombi Shege. Again, we continue traversing the various wards in KALOU constituency, Nyandarua County, brought here by the by-election that was occasioned by the passing on of the former area MP David Keraho. And right now we are at Moiri Primary School, and this is in Karao ward. Previously we were at Kaimbaga ward, and this is one of the 5 wards that are in this KALOU constituency. And if you can see behind me, you can see that the lines are still there, the queues are still there, and people are continuing streaming in to come and register with the whole electoral process of ambao wamevote. Unaweza karibia tu hapa kiongozi, useme kama umevote. Okay, wacha tuongee na mzee hapa. Taja tu jina lako alafu tuambie labda process imekuwa namna gani.
Okay.
Nitakushikia.
Utanisikia? Kwa process iko sawa. Shida yenye iko ni kwa vidole fingerprints. Unakuta kulingana na kibarua chenye unafanya, unakuta fingerprint haziapii kwa ile kit. Sasa unaambiwa uende uoshe pale kwa mfereji, tena ukae kama dakika 10 tena urudi ndani. Ukirudi ndani tena unakuta haifanyi. Sasa nataka nirudi safari ya mwisho, niambiwe kama watatumia kitambulisho. Juu lazima ni vote.
Na kidole chako umeenda maini ya kwamba utapiga kura.
Lazima nitiagwene.
Ulifika mahala hapa kama saa ngapi hivi?
Kwa muda wa saa 3. Na bado niko hapa paka saa hii. Sasa vidole ndio shida. Nimetoka tu, mimi ni mkazi wa hii area ya Mwiri. Just a kilometer from here.
Yes. Santi sana. That is one of the residents who has come here and he's registered about the complaint, because this is not the first person registering such a complaint. There are a number of cases that have come up about the fingerprints not really working. We're using the KIMS kit, and after them not working, it has come to the attention of IEBC, and what they're being told is to go and wash their fingers, wash their hands, and after washing them, they come back. Sometimes it doesn't work for the second time, and some of them are told to go bask in the sun to ensure that the fingers are not as cold. And I see some of the voters still coming in. Labda unaweza tuambie jina lako na utuambie kama umepiga kura ama utapiga kura ama umekuja hapa kwa sababu gani?
My name is Peris Kamau. I'm a voter here. Nimekuja, everything was running well from morning until when the area chief started coming and giving out bribes, but everything else was running smoothly. Still I haven't voted, but I'll vote in a few.
Okay. You still have the clarion call to other young people to come and register their votes. What was your call to them as a young person?
As a young person, I will encourage the rest of the young people democratic right, and for those who have not registered as voters, please unaweza kwa Huduma Center. Huko ndio IEBC wanakuanga na registration offices zao as we wait for the next general election. But in the meantime, if you're at home and you haven't voted, kindly come and vote. It's your democratic right, and we are the ones who choose our leaders. Saizi, our parents, they are old. If we want change for this country, you must kuja and vote. That's my message to all the young people out there.
All right. Thank you very much. I see the young people are streaming in even at this moment in time, and you'll just tell us your name na labda utuambie kama umepiga kura na kama haujapiga, kwa nini haujapiga hadi wakati huu.
Sawa. Kwa majina naitwa Wambui Nyambura. Ni mimi si mpiga kura hapa. Nimekuja kuobserve. Tulikuwa pale nje kuobserve the way members kuobserve just the outcome, venye watu wanatokea. And the unmarked police came in and we were really harassed. And they caused a lot of tension amongst the members of the public. We had to get them back from home so that they can come back and vote. I'd ask the all KALOU voters to come because they have the power to change the leadership of this country. Also the young people ndio wanaingia sahi, waendelee kukuja. Yes.
So around 8 a.m. we had an interview with the regional commissioner, that is Joshua Canada, and he said that there would be no presence of those hooded policemen. So you want to confirm that they were here and that they harassed voters in this area?
The hooded policemen, 9 in number, they came in a X-Trail car, KDN. They parked outside there. They came out with their guns and then started policing the place. They entered a few homes, asking people to go to their homes while they were also, watu walikuwa kwao. Sasa unaniambia nitoke kwangu niende kwetu nifanye nini, niko kwangu. So they entered those homes, harassing those guys, which is not right. So there are people who are police, the hooded policemen. Their presence is in this constituency. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much. Maybe something you wanted to add?
I forgot to say that those hooded policemen, they even had my photo on their phone, and they had purposely come to take me and 3 other guys. They had my photo in their phone, So I wonder, this is a peaceful area. Why will they be here? Yesterday I watched the news and the IEBC had said each policeman that is coming to guard the area should not be masked. They were masked. They didn't even have the uniform, so you can't even tell who this is. From that time, I have been threatened twice because they came up to where I was and told me to go back home, and I was like, why? This is my home. Where do you want me to go? That's when they left. So after that, when I came to the gate of the polling station, the policemen that are here in the polling station told me, "Where Rasta? Ni untaka hapa?" And I'm like, I'm coming to exercise my democratic right. Why are you chasing me away? That's when they told me, "Ume vote." I showed them my hands. I've still not voted. Kambia misija vote. I want to vote. That's when they played cool. But the hooded policemen were here and they are threatening people. To an extent, they are going to Homestead, home per home. And yesterday, I had the commissioner of the IEBC commissioner of this area specified every policeman that is coming to a polling station should not be hooded, should have his badge. Those ones, I saw they didn't have those things. They were even in civilian. So I would urge the government, this is something that we are supposed to vote. I know my candidate of choice. They shouldn't be sending goons because apparently those are goons. If they were not, they wangekuwa wamejihood. Yes.
Thank you very much. And those are some rather saddening sentiments from locals in Moiri Primary School. This is in KALOU ward, and we continue following up on those because we had heard about them, and that is one of the reasons to why we headed to this area, and we'll continue gathering information on what was happening, and after that we will have a comprehensive report on the same. Back to you, Mombi Shega in studio.
All right. That is Bataru Mwangi just giving us a report on everything that is happening. And some of the members there made quite allegations in terms of the presence of hooded policemen were there, but we're going to be delving into that. But right now, I want us to listen to the regional commander of the area and, of course, the DCP candidate, if we have those bites. Simon?
Na kazi yetu hasa ni kupeana usalama na kuhakikishia wananchi wa eneo hili ya kwamba usalama wao umehakikishwa na serikali. Tunataka kusema ya kwamba ama ku appeal to the citizens, wale hasa voters wa eneo hili wajitokeze kwa wingi, wakuje wapige kura. Hakuna haja kuwa na uoga ama nini, wakuje wa exercise their democratic right so that by the end of the day ama wakati zoezi likifungwa watakuwa wamejichagulia mjumbe yao. Tunataka kusema kwamba vituo zote zile IEBC wanafanya shughuli zao za kupigisha kura, walituomba pia sisi tukapeana askari. Nafikiria kila kitu iko na askari wawili wa kusimamia kila stream, na so far so good. Mahali wananchi watakuwa na tatizo, tunataka kuomba wa report chochote kile waona akiwafurahishi katika kituo cha polisi kile kiko karibu na wao, ama kwa wale askari wako karibu wale mahali wako.
Vile bwana RC ameongea, tushaweka officers wa kutosha wa kuangalia doria. Polisi wale wako hapa ni marafiki wa wananchi. Ndio maana unaona ukiangalia kamera zenu ukilenga huko na pale, unaona wananchi wana kutana na polisi wakiwa wanaongea. Tunataka kuhakikishia kwamba usalama huko wa kutosha. Wasiwe na wasiwasi. Ule ajepiga kura, aje apige kura. Kama kuna tatizo lolote, aeleze ofisa wowote wa polisi ambaye ako karibu naye ili aweze kusaidiwa. Otherwise, tangu asubuhi ianze hatujakuwa na tatizo kubwa lolote. Voting inaendelea vizuri na tunashukuru wananchi pia sababu wengi wao baada ya kupiga kura wanaenda nyumbani. Sorry? Kwa majina naitwa Geoffrey Mayek. Mimi ni Regional Police Commander wetu wa Central hapa.
The UDA candidate Samuel Mushin has said that
they've witnessed some instances of voter bribery. Has it come to your attention?
Bado hatujapata ripoti yoyote kamili ama hatujakamata mtu yoyote kamili ambaye anahusika na hiyo, lakini wakati tulipata ripoti kama hiyo tukaeleza kitengo cha upelelezi CID waende chini wajaribu kutafuta nini maendeleo.
I'm very happy at the speed at which the IBC is working. I had the privilege in the morning to visit several of the polling stations or polling centers. The turnout is very wonderful. The people have come out in numbers, and the officers that are there are doing quite a commendable job. Just a few hitches here and there that are common, like in the morning, some of our agents were asked to provide copies of the ID, which is not a requirement by law, but we had the RO solving the problem adequately. So from where I sit, the process is going on very nicely. The security is very tight. The people are coming out in numbers, and I'm urging them to continue coming out. There's still time until 5. Those that are still traveling, we wish them well, safe journeys to arrive here on time, so that every vote counts. That is what we want. Every vote must count. We must exercise that right that is there in our constitution, what we call universal suffrage. Let everyone have the right to vote. Thank you.
Are you confident of winning?
Well, of course. I have done my campaign very well. I have put my trust in God. The numbers are very good from the exit polls, both from our side and even the side that we are competing with. The margins are very wide, and you'll see in a few hours. So to answer your question, in the affirmative, it's an obvious yes.
That is the DCP candidate speaking earlier. He said that everything has been going on well. And of course, we did hear from the regional police commander explaining how the situation has been. But something did come out when Bataru was speaking to some of the residents there who cast in their votes, and they said that there was presence of hooded policemen. And that was after the regional police commander said that there wouldn't be presence of such police. So coming to you, Dr. Makanga, what do you make of that? The police contradicting themselves, and also why would you have hooded policemen there?
I think the court gave out an order that from the Gen Z protests, that
Right.
police should not be able to operate without
identification.
So that's another problem in Kenya, where you find, we are breaking the law, and we know. And as I said, this is an event that there was enough time to prepare. There's enough time to train police officers on how they're supposed to conduct themselves in such an event, one-day event, or let me say 2 days event. So it's very disheartening when you see members of the public are saying that they are being interrogated by hooded policemen. At this age and time, surely, there are things that you look at it and you wonder, on the ground, things are different. When what you are telling us is different, you can see the police commander saying that everything is okay on the ground, and yet you can see the public complaining that we have hooded policemen who are chasing them to go back to the house. No, wajinga walisha. So at the end of the day, I know Kenyans can go to vote. When they vote, they have nothing to do with they will go back to their house, because at the polling station we've got what we call the agents who will be able to monitor what is happening. I mean, such things are the one that as much as we are having what we call police reforms, these are issues that now distance members of the public and the police, because every day we are talking about police reforms, police being able to tokenize it to members of the public, police being able to assist members of the public in such a type of an event. But now you find what they are talking on the ground is different, what is happening on the ground is what is different. And this is where now such a police officers are letting the police officers down. I can tell you we have a very good police force, for police service. I can say in Africa, because I've gone to South Africa and I've seen what is happening there. I've stayed there, I've seen what is happening there. One day I alighted at Johannesburg, and immediately I alighted. The first person to confront me was a police officer. You know, I looked at him and I identified myself. He was shocked. He left me to go where? Because he thought being a Kenyan, I mean, what am I coming to do? I told him what I was coming to do in South Africa, and I think the guy left. The issue is we better train the police officers, and the problem we have right now is operational planning. People being able to plan well, and then from there we are able to execute well when it comes to elections. But now, when we have police officers in police uniforms, properly identified, then we have others again in hoods, and they are doing the funny things. These are things that the guy in charge of the whole operation should be able to make sure we stop. Because if we go this way, I think the distance between members of the public and the police will keep on widening. And when it keeps on widening, I think we're going to have a very big problem.
Right.
Yes.
Sheikh, I don't know what Dr. Makanga has said about that in terms of, you know, they need to be well trained. But do you think it's determined by the regime currently in power? I mean, how do you compare the National Police Service now currently under President Ruto and previously under President Uhuru Kenyatta?
Who told you the police are not trained? They're very, very well trained. In fact, some of them, I pity the conditions they go through. The problem is orders from above. I am supposed to, you know, we did what we call community policing, so I was part of that program. And I came out with a narrative. Wewe kama ofisa wa polisi ukifuata sheria, nitakuheshimu kama ofisa wa polisi. Kama sivyo wewe ni raia mwenye uniform. You are just a civilian in uniform. And I'm not obligated to a civilian in uniform. That's why you see us, the Gen Z youth, when you're on the ground, we even attack these guys in plain clothes. Why? Because according to the law, he has not identified himself. This is a civilian trying to attack me. I don't know whether they are a goon or not, and I have the right to defend myself. Okay? So, telling me that they're not trained, they are trained. And most of these guys who are coming in hooded masks and whatever, I'm sorry to tell you this. When I was arrested by a hooded police officer, it was a Ugandan. It was not a Kenyan. You could clearly see from his image that and he had masked himself. And he told me, "You will go back to your country." Which country? I am Kenyan, my dear. So you ask yourself, what is going on? And then you also know, Besigye was abducted right on our borders. So which law are we following? Okay, we have got members of the East African Legislative Assembly, Winnie Odinga and what's his name, Musyoka's son, and the others. Kanini Kega. These are, what have they raised these issues there? These are people who are making noise now here. Kanini Kega the other day was attacked. When it is about him, he makes noise. But what did he do when Boniface Mwangi was being abducted in Tanzania? When Bob Njagi was being abducted in Uganda? When Besigye was being picked from here? As the Legislative Assembly member of East Africa, there's a court there. When Martha Karua is being refused to entry into Uganda, which laws are they following? Where were these MPs? So basically our legislators, you are coming to look for local positions when we have been given positions in the Legislative Assembly of East Africa. You have done nothing for us. So what are you trying to tell us? So I'm seeing the harassment of voters. I ask myself, why harass a voter? He has voted, he has gone, he doesn't even don't know which side he has voted. He might even have voted for the person who has sent you. So why is the harassment? It is trying to show what you call the police officers usually incite violence. Our protests, when we go, are very peaceful. We are commemorating our colleagues. We have every right to just go and put a flower next to Parliament where you were shot. We are being incited, and then you are being told the protests are violent. The other day we had a very large protest for femicide. It was done right in the middle of town. It was done on a working day. We did not block the roads. We did not close down any shop. All the people were watching. And that is what we call maturity. So if the government would have shown the same response to our protests, most of these protests will just bring out the message that we want to bring. We are not here to go and destroy other people's property. These are people that are our citizens. Okay, these are people who pay taxes just like us. Why will we destroy their property? Even banning a police vehicle. Right. That police vehicle belongs to us. It is our taxes that bought that police vehicle. So we are not the ones who are violent. It is the government which is doing it intentionally. And this is what is going to break down this country. Right. And this is what I'm afraid of.
Right. Ngoima, I want to understand something. The harassing of voters, as you know, those ladies explained, by these hooded policemen. Why? What is the reason? One of them actually said that one of the police officers showed her picture. And, you know, she explained that I'm going to cast. I think she said she's voted, and then she showed the mark. So what is the point of that?
Like I said earlier, this is a template the government is using for 2027. And the truth of the matter is that they're telling us they have deployed 1,000 police officers. They possibly could be having another 1,000 undercover and some prison warders from committee, others from Nanyuki Maximum Security Prison, others from NYS, and then real goons. Real goons, some in uniform, some in civilian. Because let me tell you something. This issue of goonism, when a young lady says that they even had my photo, number one, it could be an indication that they have now felt the pressure and that they are actually losing, because it's possible to tell when you're losing. And also, maybe they have also been given data by IABC on what the turnout is, and in areas where the perceived stronghold of their opponent is. And therefore, they can use all manner of, maybe it's even coercion. Perhaps they have no interest of even arresting her, but it's pressurizing her, pressurizing the others like her.
Maybe she's one of the mobilizers.
And maybe she's one of the mobilizers.
Yeah.
And therefore, what they're doing is what we call intimidation. And number one, like my colleague here said, there is an explicit court ruling that any police officer in an operation area should be in uniform and properly identified. And therefore, when the police act in this manner, they are in clear violation of the law and a court ruling. Now, the sad contradiction is that our judges still give audience to the police. You know, you just make a determination and say, in the event that the police violate the law and they bring a person to us, we shall not hear them. And this is a country where we need to check each other. The police are supposed to investigate. If a judge is corrupt, arrest that judge. And then the police, if a police officer is corrupt, just do the same. And I'm telling you, the issue of goonism is a very serious issue. And I think we're just grossing it over it as a country. If you look at the history of Somali, the collapse of the Somali regime was as a result of the emergence of small militias being controlled by tribal and clan leaders. And it mutated to what now brought down the entire government of Somalia and also gave birth to the Al-Shabaab. If you look at Sudan, when Omar al-Bashir was unable to handle the south, he brought in Janjaweeds. They were militias. They were and a gun and a militia. There's no distinction. It is just it is semantics. It's one and the same. But now it's only that one operates at a very high scale and the other one may be low scale. But equally, they go and graduate. So if you see, this issue of goons is a very serious issue and should be taken with the seriousness it deserves. I am surprised, and my colleague here said he's a son of a bishop. I'm the son of a pastor. I'm concerned that the church is quiet and is a sheikh. So the church is represented in this table. And it's a shame that the church has remained quiet about what is happening in this country. The media itself is being used by politicians to sanitize this thing, because you bring in the police commander talking nicely and showing that everything is going on well, so that then they will now come and blame it on some extraneous issues. All nations that have gone to dogs, even Rwanda, we had the Interahamwes, all those are goons and tribal groupings. I am telling you, as a country, we must sit down and agree that we cannot allow this to happen. Remember, there was a time that this country had Mungiki, and they unleashed a lot of terror on young people and families. And it took the decisive action of one man by the name John Michuki. And there was a terrible attack in his home. He was just lucky to have been not present at home at that time. Perhaps he would have died there. So it takes a lot to get rid of them once they take root. And what happens during campaign time, they start by looking for money from those people who are seeking votes. Then we get to a point where there are no elections. They now go into the streets and they start robbing people. They now go into home. They start robbing people. Dr. Fred Matiang'i told us in the last general election that we may just launder money launderers and wash people into government, which is exactly what happened. So he was right. Now what we are doing with our political system that is uncleansed, that is unchecked, we are going to launder goons into power. And once goons acquire power, the nation will simply collapse. And picking it up from there will be a tall order. Haiti did not collapse in one day. Somalia did not collapse in one day. The genocide that happened in Rwanda and Burundi was not conceptualized in a single day. It is
Systematic.
It is systematic actions of omission and commission by people in power, and that is how nations collapse. We must be very careful, very careful. And the president must be very afraid. Because even Murkomen, this guy who is coming and talking and chest thumping and speaking with a lot of bravado, he will have no office to report to when goons take over. Even the presidency, there will be no election when goons take over. It took the Kenyan government to host the Somali government in Nairobi to try and stabilize that area.
Yes,
and even today, they are still not where they're supposed to be. So the issue of goons and these political leaders, the kind of political leaders who are managing these goons in Olkarau, who are managing goons in this Nairobi. I am told in this Nairobi, about 300 goons report every day, carrying each other on motorbikes, two, every morning. What is their work? It is to protect the seat of power. We must ensure that we investigate and the church, I am calling upon our religious leaders, the faith-based organization, non-governmental organization, every single institution in this country must stand up against these goons because we shall have no country.
Thank you.
Dr. Makanga, how do you see things turning out in 2027 next year if this whole issue of goonism continues, if we don't realize how dire and serious the situation really is and what needs to happen? Who needs to do it?
One thing I want to be proud about Kenyans is that we are not like Ugandans, we are not like Tanzanians. We cannot sit down when things are going wrong. That's one thing I love about this country.
Most democratic, yeah.
Yes, we are the most democratic country, and I can tell you, we cannot see the country going to docks and we just leave it and sit like what's happening in Uganda. You can see things are going wrong and you keep quiet. The issue of goons is a monster. I'm happy that the Inspector General of Police addressed the nation some few days ago, and they said they will take decisive action against these guys. We want to see it happening because these things are not even manufactured. You can see these guys, you can see them very clearly. Look at that photo, the video for Kisii. You could see very well policemen are there, and these guys are throwing stones. You could see very, now you see All Saints are a church headquarters that has very many people. What normally happens is that every OCS is normally asked his areas of what? We normally call the areas of vital installations. So if you are the OCS Central Police Station, you are the area of the OCS Kilimani, you are supposed to map out which areas must have your police officers all the time. So All Saints is not a place that must miss police officers. Police officers within that area should be able to understand that there's a problem.
in the middle of CBD.
Middle of the CBD. So you can see what is happening. Guys just coming from nowhere, getting in, passing the gate, going up to getting in the lift, then getting to where these guys were. That tells you very clearly that these were people who are properly mobilized, properly paid, and they're able to get in. So the issue of goonism, number one, the police have no way about it. There's nobody else who can deal with goonism. It's just a question of police should be able to come up with a strategy on how they will deal with these guys, and then from there they are able to give the OCS in every particular area mandate to tell them very clearly, Mheshimiwa, if you are coming to a funeral, come alone. The issue of goons does not arise. And then the OCS is there to attend the funeral, to make sure he's able to take charge. What's happening if you go to Western, if the governor is coming, he comes with almost like around how many goons? We are talking of around 50 goons. Now, anybody coming to that funeral who is against the governor, who they know, they put goons on the road to make sure that he stops you from coming. You are blocked from coming until when the governor is done is when you can be able to get in. These are things I think police should not be able to manage. They can be able to manage it because we are well-trained police officers and they've got resources, they've got vehicles. The issue here is police must put down this thing and just kill it the way Mungiki was killed by the Honorable late Mijuki, and then from there we are able to move on. Otherwise, if this thing is not sorted out this year, I'm telling you, next year is going to be worse. And you can see, I said in the beginning that leadership, the way people are trying to look at money, I'm the governor and you are looking, you want to strike me this thing from my hands, from my mouth, no way, I'll use my goons to make sure that I get. And then I'll also say, I also want this thing. So the question of people fighting, goons fighting, this side, will just grow up. And then at the end of the day, we can't manage this thing, we can't manage it. And we will suffer, the mamas, the shoshos on the ground, and then the other issue, the issue of unemployment. I've always told people very clearly that people have taken this issue of blaming the government. There are no jobs, there are no jobs, there are no jobs. The question of people being taken to university and doing degrees that cannot be able to work, I think this is where the ministry should be able to look at this thing in a broader perspective. I've been able to meet a good number of youth who have done degree in criminology, who have done degree in security management, and they have no jobs because they joined thinking that they will get jobs with police, they will get jobs with army, they will get jobs with KWS.
Yes, yeah.
But now the problem is those jobs are not there. I've always told parents, and I meet with many of them, please guide your children on which courses they are supposed to pick that will be able to get them jobs very easily. Now, it's very heartening when you meet a graduate in the city of Nairobi with a degree in anthropology. Yeah. And anthropology, we are talking about studying about bones. So, I mean, who will employ you? You can only work in what? You can only work in the National Museum. I've met guys who studied very funny degrees, and they are struggling in town here. In fact, they are doing hawking right now. I think parents, this issue of actually blaming the government is our responsibility. Let's just make sure that as your children take courses, please take your child to the right course. I can tell you, we've taken a good number of guys to cruise ships. Very many. And I can tell you, last week I was training general managers in Mombasa. I had like 100 of them. We had a guy from Dubai, the owner of 5-star hotels, and he was saying, Kenyan talent is like a hot cake. Kenyan talent is a hot cake. You guys, you have the best in hospitality. You want the best GM, come to Kenya. You want the best staff, come to Kenya. Why can't we take advantage of this and make sure that we're able to enter into this industry with full blast, and at the end of the day, we give these guys jobs international. Thank you.
Okay, Sheikh, Dr. Makanga has just said that police are the only ones who can deal with the issue of Gunism. But you see, these are the same policemen who are compromised. These are the same policemen who are taking orders from above. These are policemen who are working hand in hand with these goons. So how do you expect them to solve this problem?
My colleague here pointed out something I have been trying to say all this time. This country is run by 3 major groups. Sorry to use this word. The politicians, the religious leaders, and the media. The religious leaders, I don't see a religious leader around because most of the time, by coincidence, when I graduated and became a sheikh, the first person I met was Reverend Timothy Njoya. And I told him, Reverend, you did a great thing for us. And today, sad to say, we don't even remember him. And when he passes his way, then we'll start naming streets after him. So I call on Kenyans, let's honor this guy now. When he's still alive, he's right now very sick. But we can still honor him. Just a small award to show the religious leaders that we have a role to play in this country. The problem with us as religious leaders, we just confine ourselves to spirituality. I go on the streets. I'm the only religious leader on the ground. I've put my boots on the ground. People think this guy, hata kuna wengine wamenitukana. Lakini I don't mind because I know, according to my Islamic teachings, speaking out against injustice is jihad, not taking weapons and killing people. Speaking out against an injustice is the biggest jihad. That is what I'm doing. So as a religious leader, I'm supposed to be on the ground. I cannot say the police officers, remember they're just as human as we are. If religious leaders can be compromised, what do you think of police officers? And then, if you look closely, according to the teachings of our religion, Moses came with the 10 commandments. Jesus divided them into 2. Man and God, the relationship of man with his creator, and the relation of man with his fellow man. Then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, before passing away, the last 2 words he said was, As-salatu wa ma malakat yaminuk. Establish prayer and make sure you take care of your dependents. The problem with us today, when you go to church or you go to mosques, we put everything to prayers. God has told you clearly that there are some problems you address to God and there are some problems that are man-made you address with man-made solutions. God is not a registered voter. You are the guys who vote in these so-called rogue leaders and then you start complaining. God says when it comes to drought or famine or things like that, okay, like when Joshua was fighting the war, he did not say, God give me arms. What did he say? God, let the sun not set until I have won. So the sun was in the hand of God. But the weapons was in his hands. So he did not seek prayers and say, God, give me some more power in my army. So what is man-made should have man-made solutions. The problem with us is when we come to religious leaders, we think that prayers will solve everything. No, that's a lie. But religious leaders have to take a stand. As much as we've got rogue leaders, But as religious leaders, we have to give them a chance to repent. Okay? Like in our Islamic teachings, there was a man who had killed 99 people. And he went to a rabbi and he said, can I be forgiven? And he said, no, 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 no. So he killed him also and said, let's make it 100. But after some time, he felt remorseful again. He said, he went now to a wise man, not to a religious leader. He went to a wise man and asked, he said, yes, you can be forgiven. He said, how? He said, where you are residing, that environment is also contributing to your sins. So I'm calling on especially the ruling elite today. Please change your friends. Most of these friends, look at Mobutu Sese Seko. He was the most powerful, but where is he today? Even his bones cannot be brought back to Zaire. So I would not like the current regime to go that way. And I'm calling on religious leaders. Repentance is not just about coming and praying for that person. Ask this person to reform his ways. Give him an ultimatum that in 40 days, if you have not reformed, then we as religious leaders will come on the ground and give the way forward, because we have to save this country.
All right, speaking of giving the way forward, Ngoima, why do you think the church is quiet, or the religious leaders are quiet?
I don't want to accuse them or speak ill of them, because like I say, I'm one of their children. But they are you see, God's political agenda, socio and economic agenda in the world was announced by Isaiah in Isaiah 58. They are failing on it completely. The reason as to why I think they are quiet is that largely they are compromised. A number of them are compromised. Quite a huge number share in the responsibility of having brought the government in to power. And also, a number of them have taken bribes and eaten from the poisoned pot. And that is why some of them are not able to speak. I think also we have a situation whereby the leadership in the church is compromised and controls their juniors. You can't say this. You can't say this. You find, for example, if it's a church, they can't say anything the bishop has not told them. And therefore the clerics go quiet. But all in all, the church has been corrupted by the world. They have narrowed their scope, their persistent love, and their prophetic calling. They must go back to liberate their own mission and prophetic calling. Because if this country is destroyed, there will be no one to go to those churches. If this country is destroyed, no one will go to those mosques.
They'll have no God to worship.
They have no, in fact, remember, we always say that any country where the church separated itself from the people, it has never recovered. It is a case in France, it is a case in Canada. 100 years ago, they left people who are suffering. To date, they are struggling to establish a church. So it is time that our religious leaders come in and call the government to order. I miss those days when the Bishop Gitare, Manasseh Kuria, and Akina John Gato would shout to the strongest and tell Moi, it is written on the wall.
Thank you so much, Ngoima. Let me give you 30 seconds to say your final remarks as you wind up.
My final remarks is that we wish the people of Karau well and hope they will exercise their God-given right with their minds and not their wallets and their stomachs. I believe that this is going to be a very good test for UDA, and I hope to see very good fallout within the ruling party after they lose this election. I believe if they lose this election, William Ruto will be rethinking his deputy president because he has not delivered. And then this could also be a test, a very serious test on DCP, because if DCP loses this one, then in Mount Kenya, they will not be given space. And it's a wait and see.
Thank you so much, Ngoima. Sheikh, your final remarks, 30 seconds.
My final remarks, first and foremost, I call out on our fellow youth. Please, we should start owning this country. Secondly, when it comes to KALOU, we should not let these politicians hijack our process. We did not bring this country to serve a few individuals, because what I'm seeing in KALOU is just a muscling of politicians against each other. It's not a representative they are choosing. They're just trying to prove to each other who is the stronger person there. So I'm calling out on the Gen Zs, because I see we have got a vote bank. We have got the undecided vote bank of 8 million. I've been told there's another 7 million female, and we are going to get to that to see what is it that we can do. Then last but not least, as a religious leader, you'll be amazed to know what the Muslim vote bank here in Kenya is. 7,167,234 Muslim registered voters. But because of some tribal leaders, they don't vote as a faction. And remember, if the religious people take their mantle, on the other side I also do interfaith, and the Christians take their mantle, and we come together and say the 10 commandments are unique to all of us, whether Muslim or Christian, we can save this country.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. Dr. Makanga, your final remarks?
Yes, mine is to wish the people of KALOU good luck. Kindly pick the right candidate so that you are able to have services between now and 2027. If you make a wrong decision, then at the end of the day, don't blame anybody, because we are talking about now your mandate. And even if you are given money, take the money, but make the right decision. On the youth, they keep on complaining that they've been left behind. It's true they've been left behind, because you can see people being appointed in parastatus, in most of them are old junks. These guys who are just being involved, and in fact they can't think. And then we would ask the government that let them give them opportunity. I'm happy we have a PS who is a young man. I think let's have such a type of appointment so that we also give these youth enough time to be able to join the government, and we are able to move on. Let's make Kenya a better place as we approach 2027. I think the Inspector General of Police and your team, can you just make sure that you put your foot down as the Inspector General of Police? Just make sure that the issue of guns is actually finished in the best interest of Kenyans, in the best interest of this country, because these are very big snake that we shall not be able to deal with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Enoch Makanga, who is a security expert, and also Sheikh Muhammad Khan, who is the National Coordinator Imams, and of course Jackson Ngoima, who is a political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us. Asanteni sana, thank you so much. That's all the time we have right now, but of course there is an update I am getting. There was a bit of fracas in AC Primary, I'm being told, between the residents and the police, but the police were chased away or denied entry in KALOU Comprehensive School. A bit of fracas there in AC Primary between the residents and the police officers there. The police wanted to get into KALOU Comprehensive School, but they were denied entry. Remember, we have our reporters there, Bataru Mwangi, and of course Francis Wawera, who will be updating us on everything that is going on as voting is underway in KALOU constituency, as residents there make their decision on who will be their next member of parliament. Asanteni sana. My colleague David Kagina will be taking over. It's been a pleasure. My name is Mombi Chege.
K24TV, our shared experience.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya
tuendelee,
twende mbele. NCBA, go for it.
Our vibe, our music, our stars, all on one channel.
The world is mine, near get back. Don't mess with my stack, the gauge is right.
From trending shows to the hottest hits, K24TV is our home for non-stop entertainment.
What if when me say step out, me did I step back?
Catch the energy, live the fun, and join the rhythm. Turn up the volume on the new K24TV. K24TV is your home for non-stop entertainment. K24TV.
Ambia besti yako
Ruka K24.
Our shared sherehe. Our shared experience.
Some talk about them sing like the one cockatoo, and the one we sell a shopper couldn't me. Some talk about them sing like the one cockatoo, and the one we sell a shopper couldn't me. Cause this a tea to act to anger, I may not have no time to hide. This a tea to act to anger, I may not mix in a dirty.
K24TV. Our shared experience.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA. Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibu kwa vibe genje za Kenya. Hizi ni zetu zetu.
Beba kwa zile shaglasi uchapa ndio fobi jipe na watu wa moke
Pia usisahau
kuna ile uaga ni zufala umbwakni yenye inabamba raia. Kaka TikTok ama uende jehanamu. Niende jehanamu samaki ya matope.
Hapa ndio home za madogo ambazo zina donjo, yani sherehe ni sheria na sherehe ni lazima.
Naambiaje?
Ndio ile place wa Kenya hutambulika ni wa Kenya.
Tunasemaje?
Karibu milele
100% Kenya.
Zetu zetu baba.
Buda iko loud 100% Kenyan. Tunawakilisha milele.
kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA. Go for it.
Indulge in the moment with every spoonful of Delamere real fruit yogurt.
K24TV. Our shared experience.
Watashuta hawa. Shika na mapigile gani? Kela kana kile. Bani wao ndio wanania timu yetu siasa.
Nani? Sina mlipa wale wase.
Muwaji anaua vijana. Mtani mwizi.
The pictures that have been coming to you live for the past few minutes are coming to you live from Old KALOU town in Old KALOU constituency, where we are come today, and what is going on is the by-elections that are currently proceeding. And pictures that you saw were those of unidentified men in what we refer to as TX, Prado TX vehicles, black in color, well pimped up, that were arriving there. And while a group of young people had gathered initially, people from those vehicles did manage to scatter them and put them away. And what you're looking currently at are young people actually barricading that road right there, putting wooden structures as well as rocks on that road. Some also carrying rocks in their hands and in their arms. And these scenes are coming to you live from Old KALOU constituency. Welcome back. This is K24 giving you a wall-to-wall coverage of everything that is transpiring from that part of the country. Well, indeed, quite chaotic scenes right there. And with me in studio this afternoon is Mbogwa Nganga, an author and writer who's been in this space for quite some time. Mbogwa, when you look at these pictures, considering the season that we are currently at, and this being a litmus test for the general election that is yet to come, what do you make of it?
Number one, we are going to see an increase in violent incidents unless the police can step up and ensure that there is calm and there is order in the conduct of the by-election. So for me, that's a very big worry. The second worry that I've seen from the images is that the protesters do not have ink on their fingers, which means that most likely they have not cast their ballots. So even if you protest in the streets and you have not voted, you are going to have a serious problem with the outcome of the elections, because the most important thing to do on voting day is to vote. So for me, those are the two quick observations I've seen from the images.
probably just to go over events that did happen before us getting here, and to also get the exact context of where we are currently at. Initially, we got our reporter Mbataru Mwangi getting to speak to some of the residents within KALOU constituency, just getting a feel of how they were digesting the events as they were transpiring. And we had one of the residents right there speaking to the effect that IEBC was doing everything possible to ensure that the registration process was actually as smooth as possible, including the voting bit. We also had a resident from there speaking and saying that from the menial jobs that they actually do engage in, their fingerprint could not be captured by the KIMS kit. And IEBC clerks directed him to go wash his hands, rest for a bit and come retry it. And he had done it twice by the time he was coming on air, and he was very enthusiastic about doing everything possible to ensure that he actually voted. But remember, we had IEBC Commissioner Anderito yesterday come to media and speak to the effect that the commission was not planning on going the manual register way, but instead they would use all means, electronic voting, that is by identified by biometrically. And he also mentioned that the second step after the biometric identification would be the alphanumeric identification. This being a very interesting marker, especially in an election that for some time we or the population has lost trust in manual voting.
The problem with manual voting is that the clerks can take a ruler and rule out your name and presume that you have voted and cast your ballot on your behalf. So that was the danger that we were trying to run away from as a country when we went electronic. However, we must acknowledge that for people who engage in manual work, like if you work in a quarry, or if you're a saloonist, or you use your fingers to do hard labor, then you are likely to lose the unique thumbprints or fingerprints that you have. In the past, what used to happen is that the people who had a special problem like that, they would be identified, and the IEBC officers, together with the agents representing the various candidates, would come on board and say, this person has this problem, allow him to vote because he's in the register. And then now you can go to the alphanumeric. But you have to, first of all, put your fingerprint, and then you go to the next step, and then your name is ruled out in the voters register, the physical book, before you can be issued with a ballot paper.
Right. Yeah. And part of also what we got as feedback earlier on from the ground was Mbataru Mwangi speaking to some of the residents who alluded to there being people who were bribing voters and those would-be voters right outside the polling stations. And these is despite there being very strong warnings from IEBC and the election observers who had spoken to the issue earlier on. Well, there is an argument that voters do know who they are going to vote for regardless of who is bribing them.
It's very difficult for a voter not to be swayed. I have seen images on social media of people receiving money on SMS, and there is a message there saying, you have received this amount of money from this candidate, and we wish you, this is not a bribe, it's fair for you to go to the polling station. Mm-hmm. And then we have seen images, especially on Facebook, of people standing outside polling stations allegedly to bribe, and then them being chased out by members of the public. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult to say that you can receive money from a candidate and fail to vote for them, because people are swayed by how they benefit. So it is an election offense. IEBC has called for people who have evidence to show it, and that's why I told you the police need to restore order so that people like those, when they come, they are handled in the correct way, they are arrested by the police, and they are taken away from the scene so that we can have peaceful and orderly voting. But when people receive money either electronically or physically, the chances of them being influenced by that money is very, very high.
So in your opinion, what they term as the voter knows who they are voting for, they will eat the money and vote for who they want?
It's a belief. It's a belief. Because in Kenyan politics,
voters ask themselves, where am I benefiting? They don't ask themselves, who is the best leader? And that's a big difference, and it influences the outcome of our elections every year, from the MCA to the highest level, because the voters ask themselves, who has benefited me? They do not ask, who is the best leader? So even in this by-election, people receiving money, they are going to be influenced, because money is a very strong factor. This is a rural town. People don't get 1,000 shillings every day. So if they get someone who is paying them a substantial amount of money and giving them gifts, they are likely to be swayed. That's why it is classified as an election offense. But if you wanted to facilitate voters, you should have facilitated them before the end of the campaign period. After the end of the campaign period, any money or any incentive or any inducement given to a voter is obviously meant to influence them.
All right, in frame right there is a resident of KALOU who appears to have been injured in the just concluded altercation that did happen a few minutes ago by people, a confrontation between the citizens who were right there barricading the roads, and a few individuals who were ununiformed, or rather in civilian, that did come from some very black Prados from the city center and happened to be there. Earlier on, we had reports of tension at KALOU Comprehensive Primary School, where a group of young people were headed in that direction. Then we had reinforcement by police officers who did show up there and were trying to access the premise. Citizens would then show them the way out of and prevent them from accessing that particular school. And they were forced, the police officers were forced to move away from the said location, that is KALOU Comprehensive Primary School. The pictures you're currently seeing are those of police officers. These ones, the uniform here belonging to administrative, this is administrative police,
correct,
AP. Yeah. And we have citizens around them, no confrontation whatsoever. We are seeing them clapping for them. Whatever is unfolding here, we do not have, but generally we have our reporter, our boots on the ground as well, who will be updating us exactly on the details and the context of what is transpiring right here. But before then, we also had our reporter Mbataru Mwangi as well as Francis Wawira, who are on ground speaking to a number of residents. And one of the residents, a lady by the name Peris, did mention that there were hooded police officers who had visited the area around their polling station, and the said men are said to have been masked, in civilian but armed. And she was alluding to these people being police officers. She also alleged that the said people had her photo on their phone, and they were very particular about who they were looking for, and this is in the homesteads surrounding the polling stations. And this in light of instructions given a while back by our courts demanding that, you know, if police officers were meant to be going to outside and interacting with the civilian, the public, then they ought to be identifiable on the minimum.
Correct, but if these are officers who are looking for a particular individual, most likely they are going to be hooded because they do not want to be identified. So that means that the mission they are on is not a very legal mission, because if you want to arrest someone, ordinarily you would send a police officer or an administration police officer, or you'd summon them to the police station or to the area chief's camp. So if there are people out there in hooded gear and they are armed and they are looking for a particular individual, then there is every reason to be worried that this person who is being looked for is either wanted, or he is likely to be disappeared or to be tortured. So it's a very serious risk to public safety and to even to human rights, to the human rights of the people who are affected.
All right. There was also an allegations of these, you know, men who were uniformed and hooded going from home to home within KALOU, one of the ladies speaking on TV right here earlier did say that these officers asked the people they found in the homestead to go to their homes, and apparently this happened to be their home. When it comes to voter intimidation, which is a conversation that has been in play both in the run-up to the by-election and even today, earlier today, how does this play out?
We should not assume that everyone who is outside today is a voter. Because in a population, there are people who are registered voters, you have people who are not registered, you have children, you have the elderly, some of who might not be registered. And if they were just hanging out, I didn't see the clip, so I don't have the benefit of having seen the clip. If they were just idling around, then it is proper for the police to tell them to disperse and to go home. If these people are going to a police station, to a voting area or a polling station, then they should not be idling in the streets or in the area around the polling station. So if your homestead happens to be near a school and that school is being used as a polling station, then you should expect heightened security in that area.
All right, here we've had a number of police officers just in confrontation or in conversation with part of the residents of Ol Kalou right here, and in frame is Sami Ngodho, the DCP candidate for the Member of Parliament in this particular by-election, just walking around and talking to some of the residents here. We can see part of his team guiding him around. We are going to be following these, and we can see him trying to signal the people to, around here to actually calm down, even as they direct him where he is headed. Remember,
he looks like he's going to vote.
Well, he did vote earlier.
Okay.
He did vote earlier, and he actually by noon, when he was giving the update on the situational update, he appeared to be very, very, very content with how IEBC was running the by-election in terms of ease of voting, because we were right here on air, and his voting process went very smoothly, less than 10 minutes, and he was saying they've witnessed calm in the better parts of the constituency, because he had the benefit of visiting several polling stations before that, and he appeared to be very, very, very content with the conduct of elections as they were happening. But as it seems now, he is in an effort trying to calm down supporters. And if you look at the numbers that we're witnessing right here, we have a very huge number of people in the town right now, as we would put it. IEBC earlier had given instructions and urged people, you see, once you get to the polling station and you have managed to vote, head home straight away.
Correct. That's the correct position.
And you're not to be allowed at least 400 meters close to the school. While it would be feared from security reasons, probably from your analysis, what else would lead to IEBC, urging people to be far away from these polling stations as much as they could?
If you have covered elections, if you allow crowds to build up around either a tallying station or a polling station, there is likely to be voter intimidation, or there is likely to be a possibility of violence. So it's always advisable that once you have voted, you clear the voting area. You can go to your nearest town to enjoy yourself, or you can go home, but you should avoid either idling or congregating in a voting area. So it's a standard procedure, and that's how it should be, because there are people who will be afraid of walking past crowds if they are going to vote and they find a hostile crowd near a polling station. So for good measure, I think it's advisable that crowds should not be allowed to mill around voting areas or tallying centers.
And the aspirant has been
whisked away.
Whisked away on a border since the roads are a bit barricaded, and it is difficult for the vehicles to move as fast as that motorbike has whisked him away. The people who are escorting him appears to have been left on the ground, so we'd assume they were just supporters and not part of his detail as one would imagine. You can see the road is barricaded, but the
they are allowing vehicles to
allowing
pass through,
just some of the vehicles to pass.
I think it's going to be a tense afternoon. Yeah, because these are high stakes by-election. We have the ruling party and we have the opposition party, DCP, trying to get its first seat. And I think the stakes are very high for both the government and the opposition. That's why you are seeing these scenes.
The assumption or the allegations being made by most political quarters is that this is expected to be a reflection of what will transpire in 2027. Are you of the same school of thought?
Traditionally, by-elections have been used as a litmus test by young parties or emerging parties trying to measure their strength against the existing or the big boys. If you look at the election up to before 2007, you'll find that there were some parties like Kenya which were fielding candidates in by-elections, and their victories were being seen as a potential of possible outcomes for the 2007 election. So this is something that has happened even in the past when KANU was in power. Ford Asili or Ford Kenya, as the case may be, whenever there was a by-election in their strongholds, you would see this kind of commentary that this is a measure of what will happen in the subsequent election. But you remember that KALOU is not a very cosmopolitan constituency. It's in Nyandarua. Nyandarua is not very cosmopolitan. So I would not say that what will happen here today is going to be a reflection of what is going to be witnessed in 2027, because these people are largely homogeneous in their thinking. This is a rural constituency, it's not an urban constituency, and traditionally the people of KALOU have been defiant. They say that they are descendants of Mau Mau. So what is happening in KALOU may be a big test, but it's not a reflection of 2027.
All right, interesting. And pictures that you can observe right now are those of the youths right here in unison with police officers trying to clear the road for that police rolly right there on this road that had initially been fully barricaded. And here, just looking at some of the reactions that we have out there, is we're expecting that any time from now, from his Wamunyoro residence, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will be speaking to the media. And the context of his speech, as he has issued on his page, is that he's going to be speaking on political violence and electoral fraud in KALOU. And it would be interesting to hear what he will have to speak on the issue. However, he had earlier raised concerns, and among his concerns around 45 minutes ago was the issue of plainclothes police officers. And in an open letter to the IG, was saying that they are the leading cause of insecurity in the region, and reiterating his earlier call to have him to have these ununiformed police officers withdrawn from the greater KALOU as a part of security concerns. But given the sentiments and frequent updates that he has been giving, not just him but also other leaders of from different divides have been speaking on the by-elections, does leadership sentiment in a way contribute to events like we are seeing right here? Because my assumption would be that these are not mobilized people, though we have no way of identifying that.
I think for a politician or political leader, the best thing to do would be for him to wait until the election process closes at 6 o'clock or whatever time when the voting process closes, so that they can issue statements. But if you issue statements as the election hearing is going on, is progressing, then you're likely to interfere with the free flow of information, number one, also with the will of the people. So it would be best and it would be advisable for any person who wants to make a statement to wait until polling stations have closed, then they can make the statement. But when you speak or you call a press conference as the voting is ongoing, then I think there's a problem there. Yeah, because you are supposed to trust the process. We have given IBC this job. We give them the room to do the job. If they do it badly, then we give them a review. But you cannot give someone a job and then as they are doing it, you still want to tell them what to do.
Right. Part of the reason, or rather, requests that were put earlier by the former deputy president, whose candidate is a very strong contender in this by-election, and I quote, having sensed defeat, UDA allied MPs are allegedly meeting with rogue police officers to storm major polling stations, disrupt voting and stuff ballot boxes. If you're not part of the scheme, you have a duty to order uniformed police officers who are armed to stop them and prevent any disruption. If you do not, then you are part of the scheme and must take responsibility for any violence that may occur. I urgently request election observers, the international media, local media stations, social media offices, and everyone with a camera to proceed to Huruma polling station, St. Joseph and AC Primary School to document any attempted attack or disruption. Members of the public must protect these two polling stations and remain vigilant at others that may be targeted. End of quote.
You know what I'm thinking, about the voting process. We have just discussed the voting process.
Yes.
You have to use your thumbnail or your finger to access the polling station. Assume you have come with the stuffed ballot boxes. Yes. We have agents who have seen the serial numbers on the ballot boxes that are already in the polling station. How will you introduce new ballot boxes that are already stuffed? Okay? So for me, I think there's a big difficulty there because number one, even if you stuff ballot boxes, how will you account for the voters? Because the KIMS kit will tell you this is the number of people who have voted. So if the numbers in the KIMS kit are different from the numbers in the ballot box, how will IBC explain that discrepancy? And even if they were able to do it, then they would open themselves to litigation because someone can go to court and say the KIMS kit are saying one thing and the ballot boxes are saying something totally different. Remember also that ballot boxes have to be opened and closed in the presence of agents. So if there is a process that interferes with that process, let's say you bring in goons and they interfere with the closing of the ballot boxes or the putting of the seals, then that process is going to be declared null and void. So I think it will be foolhardy for anyone, whether a police officer or a criminal, to try and introduce foreign ballot boxes in a polling station.
All right. We also had a number of police officers being forced to open their bags by the public after the residents alleged they were carrying elections material, and indeed they did have to submit to the requests and did open their bags. So this raises the question of, public trust in these institutions.
I told you, the reason why we spend so much money on our elections is because we do not trust each other. Usually, as a rule, the voting process is usually very smooth. The problem begins when we start counting the votes. So as long as the public does not trust the institution that is engaged in this exercise, you are going to have that kind of problem. So it will be very good for IEBC to come out and look clean in this by-election so that it can build confidence among the public, and people can say, from the way you conducted the KALOU, which was very tense and which was a high stakes, we can have confidence that you can do this in 2027.
All right, and the pictures we see right here are those of police officers now going back to their lorries, and their mode of transportation as would be here. Some of them did indeed hooded up, but majority of those that we have in this frame definitely having their uniform and their work artillery well equipped. We were having a look earlier at those on the queue meant to vote in KALOU, the by-election, just in various polling stations that we managed to sample. And a general observation would be that a good number of them do not fall within the bracket that would be termed as very youthful. This raises the question of the youth vote. Is it real? Is it an illusion? Is it different in the case of Kalau?
In my view, the youth vote is overhyped. Because most young people, and you have seen them in these clips, they do not have the voters' ink on their fingers. Traditionally, the people who vote are middle-aged to old. But the young people are usually on social media or they are out in the streets. And that's one of the problems that we have as a country. Because number one, we have been trying to get people to register as voters. And you see there is a lot of resistance among young people who have IDs and who are eligible to register, but they are not registering. And then among the people who have registered, they presume that voting day is a holiday. So they do not go to the polling station. Others are mobilized to cause violence or to move out in the streets and do all manner of shenanigans, when they actually the biggest thing they should be doing is to go and vote and wait for the outcome. So traditionally, this pattern is not new. When Peter Kenneth was vying for president, we had young people telling him he was their man. But when the voting of the votes of the ballots came, he was, I think, number 4 or 5. What does that tell you? That the young people, they can hype you on social media, but when it's critical for them to come out and vote, most of the times it's the people who are middle-aged and above who usually come out to vote.
So when it comes to projections of how the 2027 elections would look like, are you not foreseeing a situation where there would be a real-time shake-up of the young vote?
If you look at the election trends, since we introduced multi-party politics, actually the number of voters has been declining as a percentage. So we used to have very high voter turnouts in the 90s. It started declining in the 2000s. And if you look at the last year, the last election, the numbers were about 63, 62 in most percent in most constituencies. So me, I'm seeing that even in future elections, either we maintain the trend or we hold the numbers, unless we can have a candidate that can energize the youth or an issue that can energize the youth. But traditionally, young people have not been very enthusiastic in terms of voting. If you remember very well in the last elections, young people would escort their candidates to the polling station, the candidates cast their ballots, and then all of them walk out. And then you wonder, your candidate has voted, why are you not voting? How do you expect your candidate to win if you're not voting for that candidate? Yeah. So for me, I don't have great faith in young people turning out in huge numbers that we have not seen before. Yeah. Unless they have a candidate who really energizes them.
So if you're banking on the youth vote, then you have to do more come the general election.
Correct. And you have to whip them more. Yeah. I mean, whip them to come out, not whip them physically, but you whip their support, give them an agenda that they can rally around, and give them candidates, not just at the presidential level, but at every level, so that the person who is going to the polling station knows, I'm going to vote for this MCA, I'm going to vote for this woman rep, I'm going to vote for this MP, and I'm going to vote for this presidential candidate. But if you are just canvassing for the presidential ballot alone, you are going to miss out on very many potential voters failing to show up.
All right, and indeed the pictures coming to you are those live from Kalau town. This is not so far from Kalau Comprehensive Primary School, where we've had a number of activities happening there, including a slight altercation between the residents there and a number of people who arrived in black Prados, mostly referred to as TXs or V8s here in Kenya. And right after that, we had police officers getting to just interact and try and negotiate with those residents right there. Later, we would have the the DCP candidate, who is Sami Ngodho, coming around and being whisked away on a motorcycle before the pictures that we currently have right here of a man who appears to be speaking to the public, and this is quite a huge population to be having in the town, especially on the day of an election. And so we definitely will be bringing you up to date with the latest and whatever is transpiring from all KALOU right there from now until when IEBC will be announcing the victor in the by-elections. Joining me in studio right now is a senatorial aspirant from Migori, that is Sophie. How do you read your second name?
Dibira.
Dibira. Welcome very much to K24. As well as we have Bishop Joseph Ngigi, who is also the Secretary NCCK and Nairobi. Karibuni sana.
Thank you so much.
Bishop, probably to start you off at a very high note, we have been witnessing a number of, bribery allegations, cases of political intolerance, as well as violence, pockets of violence in the run-up to the this by-election that is currently ongoing in all KALOU. But why has the church been silent?
One, I would like to say that the church has not been silent, because the church has been very vocal on this matter of election, and we have engaged the local pastors' fellowship in all KALOU, since we did not want to interfere with the decisions of the residents of all KALOU, but we ensured as NCCK we have engaged the local pastors so that they can engage the public to educate them and let them understand what is lying ahead of them as they prepare for the voting. So I would like categorically state that the church has not been silent. We have been speaking about this by-election in all KALOU. And I believe that engagement has contributed to the peace which is prevailing in that area, and the large turnout of members of all KALOU to come and vote in their new member of parliament.
All right. Sophie, welcome.
Thank you very much.
When we look at the kind of police deployment that we are currently witnessing, like right here, right outside the gate are at least 12 police officers uniformed that I have managed to count. If you look through the gate, you'll see a few others whose numbers we cannot ascertain, but inside that is comprehensive, all KALOU comprehensive school, where we earlier had a slight altercation between the public and a number of individuals who arrived here. But when you look at police distribution here, do you feel confident about the security situation here?
Confident about the security deployment on that? I mean, come on, we are not at a war for you to see such a heavy machinery deployed for just a by-election. This is a scenario where we expect Kenyans to come out without being intimidated by such machinery's presence on the ground. So it's a bit disappointing to see the extremes and the extent this regime or government would go to, manipulate or try to do what they've previously been doing to subvert the people's will, which is very sudden. But I've been following this since morning, been on social media seeing what Kenyans have been posting to, give us a feel of what is happening on the ground. And I must say that I am happy as a Kenyan to applaud the all KALOU people securing and behaving the way they behave, because even as much as they were intimidated by this, they still came out in numbers. I was very happy to see even very older people, shows, being escorted by young people to the ballot, and they were concerned, like being asked, have you voted? Do you need help? And actually being escorted back home. So very encouraging for all KALOU people that are on the ground to ensure that there is no subversion of their will to choose their preferred candidate.
Before I let you go, there were fears of intimidation of the voter.
Yeah.
We've witnessed quite an what some would term as an impressive number. Some even referred to the by-election as a potent election due to the turn-up that was witnessed. But to the allegation that, the deployment of police in this manner would lead to voter suppression and intimidation. Where do you stand?
Come back again. I did not get
on the issue of looking at the deployment that we currently have,
yes.
and the allegations that this kind of deployment would actually lead to voter suppression as well as intimidation. Do you agree with that school of thought?
I do, because I mean, why would you release such machinery onto your people and yet it's not war? As a country, we are struggling with so much in terms of, insecurity. We have the bandits on the other side, and just recently, Goonism has taken over, which I would assume that the machinery presence in Ol-Kalou should be addressing, but not the people, the innocent Kenyans who have come out in large numbers to, choose their leader that they are confident in. So, totally disappointed in what I'm seeing.
Right, Mbogwe, just to come back to you, we had IEBC Commissioner, that is Anne Derito, speaking yesterday, just putting out a call to the residents, just come, vote. Once you're done with the ballot, go straight home. Looking at the pictures that you're seeing right now, this would be in defiance of that. Of course, not assuming everyone here is a voter, but that would be in defiance of that.
Ol-Kalou is a very small town, eh? So if you vote in the grassroots areas and you come to town to wait for the results of the voting, I don't think there is any harm, because people are free to congregate. As we mentioned earlier, the only problem would be if you are congregating within a certain perimeter of a polling station. So that would be a problem. But you voting and going to town, there is no problem at all. And also people want to be assured that the roads leading to the polling stations will not be accessed by people who should not be accessing them, and the risk of imported ballots is mitigated, because you had raised the issue of foreign ballots finding their way into a polling station. So these guys are just being vigilant, and you can see they are not being violent. So in my opinion, nobody has broken the law, and as long as you're not within the 400 radius of a polling station, you are good to go. That is a standard practice, even in general elections. You vote and you clear the area. That is the procedure.
All right, and to Bishop, the church for some time now has been on the forefront, just keeping the government in check. You're saying SHA is working. We do not see a reflection of that in our facilities, education. Time and time again, the church has stood up and asked the government, you're headed in this direction. We think you should be looking the other way around. Now, it is important to hear from you, looking at how IEBC, in the run-up to the by-election, and even today as the by-elections are ongoing, are you content and satisfied with the manner in which they are conducting their business?
Well, I would like to say that we are somehow contented with the arrangements of this election. And frankly speaking, last week before last week on Wednesday, we met the IEBC commissioners, because we wanted to be assured that the management of our Kalou election is up to date. And we were assured that all shall be well. And later we had the chairman declaring that they can cancel the election. And we could not understand why the election could be cancelled, because there is no war. All people are peaceful. They are just anticipating to this day so that they can vote in their they can exercise their democratic and constitutional right. And the IEBC is on a very high test on this by-election of Ol-Kalou, because this is what is going to prove how prepared they are for the next general election. And that is my conviction. That is the conviction of the church, that if the IEBC will not be able to handle the KALOU by election, they are not capable of handling the next year's general election. That is why the church is not silent. Even right now, we have people in KALOU who are monitoring. They are our agents, and they are monitoring how the IEBC is monitoring the election. And we must get clear information whether the IEBC has fulfilled their mandate as a commission. Because while they are independent, we expect total independence in that election. And when we find that there are some people who are coming to the election, to the polling stations, and they are not the residents of KALOU, we are concerned. And that is why we want our agents to report it to us. Anything wrong which might find that it is going on in KALOU election, because we expected the best, and that's what we have been expecting in KALOU, that it will be one of the best, one of the peaceful. Let me say, I served in KALOU for a period of 1.5 years in that area, and I believe that the KALOU people are peaceful and they are ready to conduct the election despite of the intimidations which we are witnessing.
All right, and right now let's cross over to KALOU constituency, where we have our reporter Francis Wawira coming to us live. Francis, if you can hear me, what's the update from there? Bring us up to speed on the events that have actually transpired in the past hour. Francis, if you can hear me, over to you.
Hello.
If you can hear me, over to you. Let's get to hear the latest from KALOU. Francis? Francis? If you can hear me, Francis, even as he continues to get ready, and we anticipate we are going to be hearing from him any moment from now. Francis, I hope you're okay now. Let's get to hear from you and the residents of KALOU.
Shukran zaidi. Tunaendelea kukita kambi katika shule ya msingi ya AIC ambapo ndipo polling center ya watu wa KALOU. Wananchi wanaendelea kulalamika kwa sababu kulikuwa na kisa kimoja dakika zilizopita, kwa sababu kulikuja watu fulani wakaanza kuwapiga na kuanza kulipua vitoa machozi, na hiyo kitu imeweza kughadhabisha wananchi wa hapa. Hebu tueleze kumeenda namna gani? Kwa majina nitakushikia.
Kwa majina ni Kebiri Maina Kebiri. Mimi ni mkaaji wa KALOU, mfanya biashara wa KALOU, mzaliwa wa KALOU. Ningetaka kusema hivi leo, sisi ndio huwa tuna vote KALOU. Na ukiangalia na miaka yangu nimevoti mara nyingi. Ningetaka kusema hii leo, ile vurugu yote imetokea hapa, sio sisi tumechokosa watu, sisi ni kuchokoswa na serikali. Na pia Wamobi, na Wamobi aambiwe hapa ni KALOU, aende kwao Nyeri, kwao ni Madhera. Na tungesema leo, sababu yeye anatugojea kwa kitu kimoja, ati ndio kuwe na vurugu, ndio uchaguzi usiendelee mbele, ndio uchaguzi usiendelee. Mimi nataka kumusihi hivi, musitoe vurugu yoyote ili uchaguzi iishe vyema. Lakini ningetaka kusema hii, hawa askari wako na hii malori, musiwaulize swali. Hawa ndio sisi wametupatia, wametulinda kutoka asubuhi, hatujaona wakichokoza. Lakini nataka kuapa ile gari yoyote, ikiwa ile Subaru tunasikiaga, isiingie kwa hii police station. Hakuna gari yoyote itaingia, ama mtu asiye kuwa wa KALOU ataingia kwa police station.
Sikia maoni ya huyu. Shukran. Maoni yako ni gani?
Okay.
Okay, asante sana kwa KT24. Mimi nataka kusema hivi. Wananchi wa Olokalou wako na amani ya kutosha. Na serikali isikuja kutisha wananchi wa Olokalou. Sisi tumeamua na sisi tumefanya kitendo. Nasema wasilete hizo guns zinapiga watu tear gas, zinapiga watu rubber bullet, watupe amani. Sisi tumechagua mwenye tulikuwa tunataka kuchagua na tunazidi kuchagua. Na sisi tunasema hapa Nyandarua Olokalou ni DCP na tumeamua.
Asante sana. Ngoja kidogo tu. Wacha tusikie maoni yao kidogo tu tafadhali. Wewe unasema namna gani? Nasema kuna watu walikuwa wamekuja wakafanya vurugu hapa na uchaguzi bado haijaisha. Kuna ombi gani ungetaka kuomba?
Mimi kwanza kabisa naitwa Karioki Simon, mpiga kura wa hapa wa AC. Mimi tulifika hapa mapema tukapiga kura vizuri. Yaani vurumai ambayo imetokea ni wahuni ambao wameletwa hapa na serikali kwa sababu wamevalia mavazi ya nyumbani na pia wako na bunduki na pia walikuwa wamefunika mpaka macho. Na walikuja hapa kupiga tear gas na process haijaenda. Tunashuku kwamba kuna njama ambayo pengine wangetaka kuleta kura zimehesabiwa hapa ili pengine waseme kandidati wao wameshinda. Sisi kama watu wa Olokalou tushafanya uamuzi, tumechagua mtu wetu na hatutaki vurumai tena na wao maguu na watu watai kabisa. Sisi tumefanya vizuri na tunatarajia kwamba ambaye tunataka kuchaguliwa atachaguliwa na atatangazwa kama mshindi.
Shukran zaidi. Wa mwisho hapa tuongee na wewe wa mwisho alafu tueleze mnataka amani ama mnataka nini? Ongea hapa, angalia pale. Nitakushikia hii.
Asanteni sana. Mimi nimetoka Rodio Police Station. Tumemaliza shughuli zote kule. Tumekuja kusaidia hawa na tunataka uchaguzi wa amani na kila pahali ni DCP.
Shukran. Hayo ni maoni yake ya mwisho na wewe.
Majina yangu naitwa Peterson Mwangi. Sisi ni wakazi wa hapa Olokalou. Tuko na amani zaidi. Na tuko na ushirikiano mwema na maofisa wa polisi wenye wako na uniform. Lakini hapa tunatumiwa guns, ziko na buduki na ziko na Subaru na ziko na plain clothes na wamejifuga uso. Wanakuja wanavurusha wananchi kufanya kitu inaitwa vote suppression. I want to talk to the chairman of IBC, Mr. Ethokon. Umeshindwa na kazi kwa sababu ulituahidi hii uchaguzi itakuwa free and fair, lakini umeshindwa na hii kazi na umekuwa mtu biased ambaye unakubalia unatutumia polisi wazuri alafu unatutumia wakora wakuja watu harass. So the point is very clear. We are very peaceful from the morning until now, and as per now hakuna shida yoyote isipokuwa ni hawa wakora wanakuja kuharibu ama. So the message is very clear. We are peaceful. We want peaceful election without interferences. Na kama kutakuwa na interferences, we shall challenge the IBC. Na sisi hatujafurahia kabisa. Thank you.
Wacha tumalizie hapo. Mtazamaji, umeweza kuelewa hayo ni maoni ya wananchi wa hapa Olokalou wakisema kwamba wanataka uchaguzi wa amani, na bado nikiangalia hapo wananchi wanaendelea kumiminika ili kuweze kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kupiga kura kama ipasavyo. Wacha nirejeshe ushukani kwako kutoka hapa Olokalou AC katika shule ya msingi ya AC. Mimi ni Francis Wawera.
Thank you, Francis, for the very apt update from Olokalou right there. And Nganga Mbogwa here, even as the residents right there were giving their sentiment on the by-election and the conduct of IBC and police, some of them sounded disgruntled.
Yeah, because they were expecting a smooth process. I think there was an attempt in that particular area to interfere with the process of voting and what we call voter suppression. And I think it's important for the people who are organizing the elections, especially the IBC, the man in charge of IBC in that area, to come out later in the evening and clear the air about what was happening. And if possible, they should have a media center so that they can give updates from time to time. Otherwise, from the images, I think the people are relatively peaceful. They might have a grouse or two, but generally the feeling I have is that the people who claim to have voted didn't have a problem when they went to the polling station.
Right, Sophie, there appears to be some who are of your sentiment, but more to them, they do not have confidence at all in institutions supervising the election, that is being the IEBC, as well as the police, because you can hear one of them saying, we do not want people who are foreigners, not commissioners, not uniformed police officers accessing the polling station.
Kagina, it's said once bitten, twice shy. I'm sure Kenyans had already had first-hand experience with what happened during the by-elections in Mbeere North. Omedende was spotted again in KALOU, and that brings a lot of goosebumps even to the Mwananchi on ground, because they are wondering if whether the same that happened in Mbeere, which was unconstitutional, having repeat of its repeat in KALOU. So I'm very, very encouraged with how Mwananchi is handling this on ground. They've actually taken responsibility of both security and vigilance on the ground to protect their votes, which is so encouraging. And I would want to urge Kenyans to take notes from KALOU. Come 2027, this is actually a playbook that they should subscribe to. That if we put all our hands on deck as a country, because it is our collective responsibility to ensure that we get governance and leadership that we want. I'm very happy to have heard it from the clergy here, that they even have their own surveillance operators on ground. The goon infiltrations and the way they've been handled by Mwananchi himself is encouraging. And as much as you'd expect, or the government would expect, raptures out of it, because that is their intention, so that they can, intimidate and scare people, they have remained steady, firm, and to the cause. So it's very encouraging. I'd like to still call upon them not to give up, because there's still time till about 5. Those who have not voted, come out and vote. I like what you're doing, and very encouraging to all Kenyans. We are applauding all of you. As watching from Migori, I was just reading my text from people in Migori. This is one of those by-elections that is actually being monitored by everyone from this country. Should it go wrong, then the IEBC would have failed terribly, because we saw what happened in Mbeere North, and it was not pleasing. We have court battles that are still not yet determined because of the same. So no, I believe no Kenyans want to see their will subverted in that same manner. So congratulations, Kenyans. Keep it up.
Right, just to have a look at the numbers that are making and defining the KALOU by-elections. We have at least 73,480 registered voters expected to be voting today, and that is in 144 polling stations. These polling stations are distributed within 5 wards which make up KALOU constituency, these being Rorie, Kanjuiri, Karau, Kaimbaga and Mirangine. And the distribution stands at Rorie, we have 33 polling stations, Kanjuiri Ridge, we have 32 polling stations, Karau, we have 27 polling stations. This is the same as Kaimbaga, where we have 27 polling stations, and also Mirangine, where we currently stand at 25 polling stations. And this is all to choose their favorite among 9 contenders in the by-election, 3 of whom are very much prominently defined, but we have some who have not really gotten even to be mentioned or mentioned by other people from other regions. And this brings me back to Mbogwa here. The Kenyan elections most of the times have been reduced to a 2-horse race, despite there being, democracy and options where we have even more people joining these races. As the media has been accused often of creating this 2-horse race, theory. Is it actually what transpires on ground?
When it comes to elections, The only thing that matters is the person who wins. And when you listen to, if you follow trends, for example, you read the opinion polls or you follow trends, you can know these are the leading candidates. Even in countries like the US, we have more than 5, sometimes more than 10 candidates, but people only hear about the Republican and the Democratic candidates. And yet, there is someone who comes eventually at number 3, number 4, number 5. This is not a creation of the media. This is the reality on the ground. And what the media has done in the past, because I've been an editor in the mainstream newspapers, is that we have gone out of our way to deliberately give coverage to every candidate. If you look at the last election, for example, I think we had 5 candidates because IBC reduced them from a higher number. We gave coverage to all of them, including Wajakoya, who we knew was an outlier and was unlikely to make a major impact on the voting. We also covered Maure, even when he used to go to Kamukunji and there were no people, we covered him and we showed the empty grounds he was addressing. A two-horse race is not a creation of the media, it's a creation of the public. The media is only a reflection of what the public is saying. And you can see even from these clips, the people are not talking about independent candidates or the other candidates. They are only interested in the top 2 candidates. So I would hesitate to say that the two-horse race theory is a creation of the media. And if you look at across Africa, for example, we had elections in Ghana the other day. People are concentrating on the top 2. We had elections in the US, they were concentrating on the top 2. It's a natural trend everywhere.
Before we get to Bishop, allow me to go with Sophie here. On the two-horse race, personally you have political ambitions, but how come, what happens now if you find yourself not in the arithmetics of the 2 identified horse races?
You see, when one decides to throw themselves in the ring, those are things that are not important, back of your head. You, like he says, you are in for it to win. And just at the back of your head, you already know there can only be one winner for each seat. So all you ought to do as an aspirant is do your best. I was in the race in 2022, last previous election, and I was the second runners up. I was number 2. Did exemplary well for a woman contesting at a position where it's perceived to be a masculine position. We were about 12, and I was the only lady, and emerged second runners up. So that should not be a concept to be emphasized on or to put weight on, but to have that overall conclusion and say, may the best man or woman win, so that we don't discourage Kenyans, or rather try to infringe into giving Kenyans a variety of aspirants or leadership to choose from. They know best and they know who they want. Yeah.
Bishop, the church and religion in general speaks to fairness in all levels possible. In an election with 9 aspirants and only 2 happen to be getting the limelight, how does that sit with you?
I think, Kagina, democracy in Kenya is growing very fast. And it is divining itself. Just as Mr. Bugu has said, that in most cases there are 2 horses. Almost in every election, there is what people focus on. And probably it is on the ruling or the government, or the sitting government, reclaiming the position, or the opposition. And it is a great time for the opposition people to realize that unity is strength. And that is why when in KALOU, and anyone who is talking about the election in KALOU is mentioning about the two people. That means it's the government and the opposition. And that's why we should call for the opposition for their unity. Because if they keep on going divided, most of them will not be noticed that they are contesting. Because people will be viewing it is the government versus opposition, or the opposition versus the government. So we call upon the opposition for their unity, and that is why everyone is singing about the top people or the top persons, the government and the opposition. As far as I'm concerned, even the other people or the other contestants who are there, they are also important because they are practicing or they are doing their best. They are exercising their democratic right because they are of age and they qualify to stand to fight for those positions. So they are doing the right thing, but we would like to request them, unity is strength. Yes.
All right, just to give an update, is that we have the NTV crew that has lost their camera person to the crew of hooded men that we saw in the earlier part of this broadcast when it was starting off, and they are currently reporting that matter to the police stations. However, more importantly, our boots on the ground did manage eventually to capture the number plates of the vehicles, the Land Cruisers that with hooded men that did actually come up, disrupt, and eventually made away with the camera of that crew right there. And just to mention the 4 vehicles that were managed to be observed and the number plates captured, we had all Land Cruisers, KDP 012N, we had a KDN 394M, a KDW 600Q, and a KDL 477Q. These are the vehicles that have been identified as those that did come with the hooded men that did disrupt the group of young people that were right there and made away with the camera of NTV's camera person, George Kieru. And the update I'm also getting right here is that we also had a photojournalist from the Star newspaper, Enos Teche, who lost his camera to the same hooded men. So if not for disrupting the public, then fully armed, they made away with the camera of part of the media crew. And still on you, Bishop, this would be termed openly as an attack on journalists. We, being part of the society that assists with being the watchdogs. You know, there's nothing journalists are generating out there. They're essentially capturing what is happening. Right. When it comes to infringements of their rights in this sense, where would you stand?
I think it is always said that truth hurts. And I would like to categorically state that this government is very fearful of the media houses, of the journalists, because the present journalists we have know how to speak the truth. With the growth of technology, the media houses have to report or have to inform the Kenyans the truth and the naked truth and nothing but the truth. And I hope those people who are in the government, it is like they are far much behind the technology. It is very surprising that the common mwananchi has the information that the government doesn't have. What does that tell you? That most of the people who are in the positions in the government are not ready to receive the truth. We have met several of them as the NCCK, but yet we find that some of the things are not changing. What does that tell you? That these people will accept what you are telling them, but when you leave, they do their own things. We did not expect any hooded people in our KALOU. And let me tell you, let us not call them goons. Those are well-trained police officers. Well-trained police officers. And we cannot call them goons. They are people who know what they are doing. What the purpose of grabbing the camera of a journalist? Because they wanted to access the information which is in that camera. How can a mere person, a common mwananchi, a common goon who comes with a lungu be able to access the information in the camera? He's nothing to do with the camera. Even the goons we have been seeing in Nairobi or other towns, they have nothing to do with the equipment for the journalists. But you see, these people came targeting the equipment of the journalists so that the Kenyans will not know the truth. And the scripture clearly states that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And I wish this government can know that, so that they can let people exercise their democratic right. We don't need all these policemen in our KALOU, because Olka is peaceful. These guys, they are doing their best, even to contain the situation themselves. The Wajiko himself, herself I mean, is trying her best to contain the situation in our KALOU. But all of a sudden, there comes people with huge Prados. I don't even have one. Where are they coming from? They have been captured, and that is the truth. They don't want it to be known. And for your information, you might find that the registration number plates which you have read might not be of those vehicles. when you go to NTSA, you find their vehicles of different persons with different registration numbers. But because of the crookedness of some of the people who don't want peace, they don't want good for this country, they can do whatever they want to do. But I want to tell them that the common Mwananchi, the Wajiko, is not, the current Wajiko is not the Wajiko of the 2021. Yule ambaye gadaganywa na Biblia. Wajiko of this time is saying, I don't need the church, I need God. So don't expect this Gen Z in the church so that you can come to write to him with the Bible. And therefore, it is very unfortunate when we see some of the actions in KALOU where we were assured by all the state agencies that the by-election in KALOU will be very peaceful, everyone will be allowed to exercise the democratic right. But right now we are talking, some of the people are admitted at the hospital because they were gunned yesterday during the night by people who came with the food and whatever, and so many goodies. And that is after the campaign period is gone. We would like to tell the government that we don't have any other country apart from Kenya. We don't have a spare country except this country, our beloved country, Kenya. And if all goes well, it will not only go bad for me, it will also go bad for them. Then they have their duty to protect the Kenyans. And now what we are expecting is the KALOU people to be given their own space. They know themselves. They know when people from outside who are coming, and they cannot allow. And for your information, there were some buses which were captured. They were transporting people from the site of Laikipia. And they were on their way. But they were intercepted. And the KALOU people, they refused. They said these buses will not go beyond here. They tried to say, no, we are going to the funeral. No, let the funeral be postponed. It will be done tomorrow after the election. And that is the patriotism we want in this country. And we are calling for the people of Kenya to come up and do their best.
All right, Bishop, allow me to cut you short and let's cross over to KALOU, where DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala is currently addressing the public. I got it late. So for Well, from speaking from the roof of that car right there was the deputy party leader for DCP party, accompanied by the MP aspirant of the same party, that is Sami Ngodho, speaking and trying to calm down the crowd that is currently right here. Remember, the closest polling station to where they're currently standing is Ol Kalou Comprehensive Primary School, as well as AIC polling station. And back to the conversation that we were having right before we went to Ol Kalou, Sophie. Bishop has spoken immensely on the attack on journalists. We've seen it in different protests before, including the ones that we have been covering. And this transpiring today, where we have journalists losing their equipment to people who are armed and, as Bishop here is alleging, to be police officers. How does that make you feel?
Disappointed, Kagina. You know, it's unimaginable to continue seeing the persistent, the relentlessness of this regime, shoving things on Kenyans' throat, completely ignoring the part that is supposed to listen to the people and not listen to themselves. Interesting also to see politicians who are living in denial that their time is up, no matter what they do. Whatever things they cook, they're cooking on the ground by bringing or recruiting goons to disrupt, the processes. Kagina, gone are the days where governance or one would rule by force. Unlike the clergy here has alluded to. This is a different demographic that is fearless and can take the bull by its horns. These are just not random people. These are intellectuals, very learned people. Don't think that they're just young boys dancing in the streets. Well educated, very exposed, very up to date with current affairs and what's going on around themselves in matters, governance. So you would be, if not a fool, you cannot just be naive to assume that democracy and being a democratic country, that you can rule by chest thumping. You can rule by forcing people or imposing policies on people that only works for you and your friends or a few individuals. This country belongs to all of us, Kagina. And this is what you're seeing demonstrated in Ol Kalou. Now, like I say, the rest of the country should actually take notes from Ol Kalou. This is a very encouraging scenario happening today, whereby we Kenyans have realized we are on our own, in short. We have institutions that are supposed to be helping or be voices to voice Kenyans' grievances that has been captured. As we speak, there is no place Kenyan or a Kenyan can go to seek refuge. So since we are at that crossroad as Kenyans, as a country, we've decided we are going to take this in our own hands. Because if it's security, they've failed to give us security. Instead, use all mechanism and all crude tactics to suppress what we are agitating for as our rights. So we are going to handle this, and this is already clearly seen in Ol Kalou. Goons masked, police in civilian. Why would you come on ground, not in uniform, but masked and in civilian? To do what? This is not a war zone. We're not in Iraq where people are fighting, where you have to cover your face so that your enemy cannot see you. You're supposed to protect the Kenyans who are supposed to be, performing their constitutional right. You're not coming for war, right? We've seen earlier on that there was one particular person blatantly holding a list, apparently purported to be a goons list, and he was paying them on ground. What did Mwananchi do to that person? I like the surveillance and the cameras we have. The paparazzis are on ground are not necessarily have to be journalists. So I'm even surprised they're actually hounding journalists of media houses. For what? We already have boots in cameras everywhere. And I'm happy, glad that they captured the sceneries. So it's disappointing to see that a government can go that route and stoop that low to continue serving the few, benefiting off Kenyans' pains. And like once again, as I did earlier, congratulations, Kenyans, keep it up.
All right, Nganga Mbogo, you've worked as an editor in the media house.
I'm still an editor.
In most mainstream media houses in this country. Looking at the pictures and events unfolding of, taking cameras belonging to journalists, what do you make of it?
First of all, it's an illegality, to say the least. It's very wrong for people, whether they are in uniform or not in uniform, to attack journalists who are at work, because that is interfering with the flow of information. It is interfering with Article 34 of the Constitution, which gives Kenyans the right to information, and it is wrong at so many levels. And I would like to say I'm a member of the Kenya Editors Guild, and I'm also a trustee in the executive committee, and we are discussing that issue at present. And I think they did not just confiscate the camera, they also attacked the journalist physically. They used tasers on the journalist to make him immobilized so that they could take away the cameras. And we are glad that the people who were there to witness took the images of what transpired. I think it's wrong for the police because we have engaged the police as a Editors Guild, and we have tried to create an atmosphere through which the police and the editors and the journalists on the ground can coexist, and everybody is allowed to do their job. So we feel bad when we see the police rolling back these negotiations and these agreements because they are basic, what we call the basic minimum, that you as a police officer will do your job and the journalist will also do his job without one interfering with the other. And we even went further, and we inculcated in their curriculum at Keganjo a course in which police will be taught about human rights and media relations. So it's very sad to see that the police are going to the scene hooded, they are attacking journalists who are at work, and they are going against the agreement that the police leadership and the media editors leadership agreed on. It's a very sad day for us. If you have a problem with a journalist, there is a clear mechanism for addressing that. Get the police to arrest that journalist or summon them the way we had said, or go to the Media Council Complaints Commission and place a complaint. But you cannot use technology like tasers to take away somebody's camera when he's on duty. It's very wrong.
And when you say you engage them, what usually is the reception by these police officers?
You know, at the senior leadership level, they are very receptive to ideas. And when we even sign MOUs with them, and we agree, going forward, we are going to train your officers on media relations so that the conflict that has existed traditionally between the police and the journalists can be addressed, and we can have a way forward so that we can build our democracy. The whole point is to create space for people to express themselves and for the police to do their work without interference. So the moment that you find a police officer attacking a journalist, probably without even provocation, or because he has been filmed doing something that he should not be doing, then you have a problem, because this journalist is doing his job. As long as the journalist is on duty and he has identified himself as such, it is wrong for a police officer, whether he is in uniform or not, to attack that person physically. And we have seen that has happened, and it's very regrettable. Yeah, but the conversation is ongoing in the background, and we'll be issuing a statement as the Kenya Editors Guild.
All right, and to Bishop, when you look at the pictures coming live to our viewers right there on the screen, you'll see a road barricaded by stones. This means that anyone who intended to use this road then would not be able to. Peaceful as it may be, where then do we draw the line between, exercising our rights and crossing the line to where it would now be termed as disturbance?
I think when we have the security agents, we believe that they are well-trained people, and when they're on the ground, they know what they are doing, and that's what they should exercise. Because, as Mr. Bogo had said, having gone all through the curriculum for 6 months or 8 or 7 months in Kiganjo, when a police officer graduates and comes to the ground, he must have known how he's coming to deal with the Mwananchi. Even when they barricaded the road with stones, what are they doing after that? Would that stop people with bad intention to come? Because you have seen Prados. Why did they pass to get into Kalau? If the roads were barricaded, if the police are doing their job as required, as they promised us, even the IBC promised us, that there is no any unregistered vehicle that will be around. And that is why I'm saying even these registration are not original, registration. They are fake. So that they will see that the vehicles which are going there, they have the registration numbers. The police have a great duty to ensure law and order has been maintained. And if the voters have maintained that peace, if they have obeyed that law, you have heard them speaking. They are saying they are congratulating the policemen. You have been protecting us. You have been doing this. Then, how did Madera MP sneaked to a polling station without the knowledge of the police, so that he can go to cause the chaos in Kalau? And you were promised, even by the IG, that the Kalau by-election will be for the all Kalau people, and no any outsider who will be allowed. Once you vote, you go away 400 meters. Madera MP was not at 400 meters. He's not a resident of Kalau. He's not an election observer. He's not a member of IEBC. He's not a commissioner. And where he was thereafter the chaos. So whatever is happening, we solely blame the government, because we always say that the government has a monopoly of violence. So if anything happens in Kalau, we cannot blame any other person apart from the government and its agents, including the police, who are manning, who are keeping the law and order in Kalau. And we have not seen any incident where the voters have caused the chaos. The chaos are caused by the outsiders, all. The police themselves, of the government officials. But we are still expecting that all shall be well for the people of Kalau.
Still while at it, Bishop, we have had allegations and concerns on voter bribery in this area. Some alluding to government being somehow coincidentally realizing all the developmental projects at the same time. We had people receiving messages, but before we come to respond to that question, let's cross over to Wamunyoro in Nyeri, where the former deputy president is currently addressing the press.
All-in luxury shuttle. This is the team of public transport that has given out their vehicles to take goons to Kalau to kill the people of Kalau. This is unacceptable and it will be punished. I am announcing to the people of Mount Kenya region that Molin luxury shuttle must be boycotted forthwith, and they will get no customers in this region for agreeing to ferry goons to go and kill Kikuyus in Kalau. And I want to ask everybody in all 11 counties, forthwith, Molin luxury shuttle must be boycotted and should not get a single passenger anywhere because of what they are doing. I want to ask these members of parliament from this region who are being used by William Ruto to injure their own kinsmen, to beat up their own people, to overturn the will of the people, that they are traitors and they are an embarrassment to our community. Charles Karondo, Dennis Itumbi, Eric Wamumbi, Betty Maina, David Gekaria, Sabina Chege, Wamuratha, Kawanjiko, you are an embarrassment to our community. How can William Ruto fool you to organize violence against your own people? I have been told now they are regrouping. They are planning to storm all the polling stations. And I'm surprised that EFECON and IBC has said nothing, even after polling stations have been attacked by hooded police. They are moving in vehicles in broad daylight with rifles and wearing masks, and IBC is quiet because they are part of it. IBC and William Ruto are part and parcel. And it is now clear that we shall not have a peaceful general election. I think KALOU is address rehearsal by William Ruto on how he can use rogue police to subvert the will of the people. I want to tell IBC, from what has happened, we'll be mobilizing the people of Kenya to call for your disbandment. You are an embarrassment to the people of Kenya. This election was very peaceful until you connived with William Ruto to cause violence. These people now have retreated to Royal Garden Hotel, where they are planning to storm all polling stations and disrupt the counting and overturn the will of the people. I am calling upon the people of KALOU, all of them who voted, to go back to the polling stations and fortify and barricade our polling stations and make sure that the will of the people is not subverted. I want to tell William Ruto, I'm sure you want to kill the Kikuyu population because you have a beef with us. You must start today with KALOU. For you to steal this election, you must kill the people of KALOU. And that is, if that is what you have decided, to kill the people of KALOU, please go ahead. And I'm asking everybody from KALOU, all our young men, women, old men, to go back to the polling stations and fortify them and stop these police goons from subverting the will of the people. We cannot allow William Ruto to subvert the will of the people, to successfully conduct a pilot on how he shall force the people of Kenya to elect him as president next year. IG Douglas Kanja, much I sympathize with you. You are an embarrassment to our people here, not just in Nyeri, but the mountain. This afternoon, Douglas Kanja is my neighbor here. I called a common friend and I asked him to call Douglas Kanja and put him on speakerphone and pose to him 2 questions. Why is he allowing William Ruto to use him to kill and maim his kinsmen from the mountain? I asked him to ask him, why has he surrendered the command of the National Police Service to Kipchumba Murkomen and his tribesmen? Because these are Ruto and his tribesmen who have declared war on the Kikuyu people. And Kanja told that person, and I heard clearly, that he has no control of the National Police Service, and what is happening in KALOU has the direct authority of William Ruto, and there's nothing he can do. He was crying, saying how sad he is, saying that his work has been taken over by Kipchumba Murkomen, and he is even contemplating resignation ahead of his impending retirement. It is therefore confirmed that this massacre that is going on in KALOU has been authorized by William Ruto himself. And we want to ask you, William Ruto, these people of KALOU, the people of Nyandarua, the people of this region voted for you to a man to become president. Why have you declared war on them? Why are you unleashing violence on women and children? Why have you converted the National Police Service into a rogue outfit to kill people and to maim people? But I'm not convinced that when William Ruto sent the National Police Service to Haiti, the intention was never to go and help the people of that great country on how to deal with the criminal gangs. He actually sent the National Police Service to benchmark and learn how to work with the criminals and goons to assist him to be elected by the people of Kenya next year. I want to say now I'm convinced than ever before that we shall not have a peaceful election, that we shall have anarchy and civil war. If what William Ruto is doing in KALOU today is what will happen next year, there will be civil war in this country. We have seen it. You, the media, the Nation newspaper, the NTV, the journalists who are beaten up, and their equipment confiscated so that they don't record the mayhem that is happening in KALOU. So Kenyans must know now, they must be prepared that we are going to have a big problem next year. We have a compromised IBC working under William Ruto. We have a president who has gone rogue, who is determined to force his way back to power, using whatever method, including killing people and maiming people. And KALOU is a pilot of what will happen next year. The DCP candidate is leading with 90%. And the people of KALOU must make sure these results are announced today. And we are asking all members of the public in KALOU to move quickly from now and occupy and surround the polling stations and withstand the assault that is being planned by William Ruto to overturn the will of the people. Later on, the entire population will move to KALOU town. 40,000, 50,000 people around the talent center. And if William Ruto wants to massacre the Kikuyu population in KALOU, he can go ahead and do so. He has harassed our people enough. He has ruined our businesses. He has sacked our people from KRI. He has sacked our people from the army. He has sacked our people from the civil service. He has taxed our churches. He has made sure our pending bills are not paid. He has attacked us in churches. Now he has decided that he will force us to elect people from his party. And he is prepared to kill people. He is prepared to unleash violence on the Kikuyu population because of his hatred for this community. What has happened today is an eye-opener to my people. Please wake up and know now that William Ruto means very bad thing for our community. And all those of you who work with him, you are traitors of our community. You are shameless. Nobody can believe that Kikuyu's member of parliament can join William Ruto to kill their own kinsmen because of an election. And all of them will be voted out, I can assure you. No member of parliament or senate working with William Ruto to unleash violence on our people will be re-elected. And Moses Kuria, shame on you. You are organizing gangs and goons to attack our people in KALOU. For the longest, you have been organizing goons to attack businesses belonging to the Kikuyu nation. Our people have really suffered under your hands. How much money do you Kikuyu traitors need from William Ruto to betray your people and turn against them and brutalize them and maim them and use guns? So I'm told tear gas is being assembled so that when they go to the polling stations and they find our people, they can use tear gas on them. I want to urge our people not to run away. Carry a bottle of water and Colgate to deal with the effects of tear gas. The people of KALOU, the people of Nyandarua, are the true sons and daughters of the Mau Mau. They cannot be intimidated today. They must put up a fight, and a strong one. It is unfortunate that the man we gave our vote, whom we trusted with our vote, has turned against us. And he is unable to accept that we have a democratic right to choose whoever we want. He wants to force us to choose his candidate, and it will not happen. I'm told they want to try to overturn the results, and if they can't, they cause chaos so that the election is cancelled, and then they have another opportunity to repeat the election once more. Even if the election is repeated 10 times, the results will be the same. They have spent 14 billion shillings in projects in KALOU. People have said no. They have spent 1.2 billion bribing voters. People have said no. That is the Kikuyu nation for you, Mr. William Ruto. You don't know the Kikuyu. You are touching a very raw nerve. You have now radicalized the Kikuyu nation beyond limit. And you face the consequences of a radicalized Kikuyu nation. And I'll be calling upon this community to boycott all your public meetings forthwith because you have declared war on the community. We cannot allow you to persecute this community further. You have done more than enough. You have done enough damage to this community. You have abused us. You have called us tribal. You have called us prostitutes. You have used all manner of adjectives to describe this community that gave you power. Now you have decided to use force, to use police to brutalize our people, using traitors from the community. Shame on them. Nobody can believe it. No other community joins another to fight their own people. Eric Wamumbi, Betty Maina, Charles Karodo, Dennis Itumbi, David Gikaria, Sabina Chege, Anu Amuradha, Joguna Kawanjiko. What has happened to you? How do you feel today you are in Olokala organizing police to brutalize your own people? I can't believe it. But you'll be served the only remedy for betrayal. Our people will deal with you at the ballot. I want to thank you. Any question?
Well, pretty much.
Well, indeed, that right there is the former deputy president giving his sentiment in regards to the All-Kalau by-elections. And just to have a recap of what he has actually mentioned together here with my panelists in studio, there is a call to boycott one of the businesses on allegations of ferrying goons to disrupt peace. Bwana Mbogwa, what do you make of the boycott call?
I think it's too early to make a judgment one way or the other, because we need to hear the side of the company that is being accused. Although this is not the first time that a politician is calling for a boycott of an organization. We have seen that with ODM when they are calling for a boycott of the media and other products. So I think it's too early to judge. I think Wamanyoro spoke too soon. In my view, he should have waited until 5 o'clock for the polling stations to close so that he can give those sentiments. But if there is credible evidence that that there is going to be disruption of the counting, and I told you the problem in Kenya is that we have a problem with counting, not with voting. Usually voting days are very nice, but the moment we start counting, that's where the problems begin. So if there is credible information that there is going to be a disruption of that process, then I think he should alert the relevant authorities instead of causing panic in the Republic. Even the idea of telling people to go back to the polling stations, I don't think is a very good idea. It's good for people to protect their vote, but telling people to go back to the polling station, I think it's a premature call at this moment. I don't know the full information on the ground, but if you make this statement after closing of voting, it would make sense. So I think we need to reduce the sense of panic in the public, and also not to avoid inflaming passions.
Sophie, will boycotting work?
Not for now. Like he has already said it, I think it's premature for now. Until the results are read, then that would be maybe a good point to determine whether to take that kind of action going forward. So premature it is for now. The sentiments can be inflammatory, which is unnecessary. You know, you can't just act or react on something that has not been concluded yet. Doesn't make sense for me. So if you had waited a little bit longer until we get to see the the results, then it would have made sense in this context.
All right, Bishop. Something else that has been highlighted by the former deputy president, something not very new to the Kenyan politics, is he has listed a number of politicians, specifically from the Mount Kenya region, and termed them as traitors. Number one, for disagreeing with the course that he is on, and number two, alleging that they are being used to cause mayhem?
There is a serious problem with our legislatures because they failed to fulfill their mission, of which we elected them to the parliament to do, and they decided otherwise. In all Karau by election, I believe 95% of the residents of Karau are Kikuyus. And when the DCP leader says that there are traitors who are there, and he mentions them by their names, I think because of their conduct in all Karau. Because we have seen them there, they are singing the song of the government, and we have no problem with that. But the problem might be if they can participate to suppress the voters in all Kalau, or to deny them their right by causing chaos. And in any tribe, we might call anyone a tribal or however, but in a country with 45 tribes, you cannot escape from that. That is something you cannot escape. And the people who are voting there, if they are Kikuyus, because they are in Nyandarua, and they are the ones who are being targeted, that they can be maimed, they can be beaten, or they can be done whatever they are planning to do. It is so unfortunate to our MPs in Mount Kenya. Money has contributed a lot in destruction of the democracy in this country. Because you cannot know who is in the right path of democracy by his or her conscience. Because most of the people are practicing or are exercising their democracy out of the loyalty, to whom do we pay royalty? And these things we are seeing in this country, they will finally come to an end. This is just a by-election. We are having a general election by next year, and I want to assure you, Kagina, majority of these MPs who are being used by the government, they will not be seen anywhere. Even the President Ruto knows, I'm working with the so-and-so at this time, but the next year he cannot help me. Because if you are president and you go with an MP, in his or her constituency, and the constituents refuse that person to address them in front of the boss. Do they want to tell us that our president is so foolish, he does not understand that these people are not with the people? There will come a time that the president has nothing to do with an individual. He wants the votes. And if you cannot deliver the votes to him, you are good for nothing to him. But for this time, the president is using them as the stepping stone because he knows Mount Kenya is hostile. So he must have the people whom he is stepping as the stepping stone so that he can be able to reach the people. But the truth of the matter is, the people who are ready to the president, they have no ground. They have no people. They have nothing to deliver to him. And that is why they are reclining to the president so that they can get what they are getting. When you talk of 10 billion or 14 billion in Okarao being used, that money has not been given to the residents of Okarao. The roads are not built. Some of the money has been stashed in the politicians' pockets in the name of campaigning. And the current president of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, is very sharp. He knows how to keep a record. So when you hear the DCP leader speaking that, he knows what he's saying, that the President Ruto knows how to keep the records. And they'll give account of all that money they have been given. And let me tell you, in the book of Proverbs chapter 29 verse 12, the Bible states that if Alura reasons to rise, all his officials become wicked. And that's what we are seeing now in the country. They are lying to the president, all is well in this country, of which they know they are wicked people, so they are lying to the president. And the president know these people who are, those people who are lying to him and those who are telling the truth. If they can use the money to hire the goons to go and disrupt the by-election in KALOU, the president knows that they can also hire goons to disrupt his votes. So you not have confidence with them. And they will sing a new song. Because things will not be the way they are thinking. But I would like to encourage the people of KALOU. I've talked with some of our agents who are there. And what they are telling me, things are not all that good, Bishop. They are on the ground.
What are they saying?
And they are saying that these are not, the tension is very high in KALOU, because now all what is being planned is to suppress the people. To let people live, keep off by firing, by throwing tear gas, so that they can do what they wanted to do.
All right, Sophie, Mbogwanganga here mentioned earlier and commented on the issue, on the call for voters to return to their respective polling station, hold fort and guard their votes, and do this, and later reassemble within KALOU town at the tallying center to do the same. Do you think this is a good move, especially called by Gachagua?
I'd like to answer that this way. If IEBC would be an entity credible enough and had shown that they can actually deliver free and fair results, then maybe such sentiments would not be coming out. Unfortunately, the way IEBC have been handling previous by-elections, especially for those highly contested areas, is wanting. And this, today, KALOU's by-election would be an epitome of confidence by the people to the IEBC, by proving to us that they can actually be as independent as they are supposed to be, and not what we have been fed previously by their conduct. It will be a demonstration to confirm whether what the commissioner, the IEBC head, Mr. Ethekon, said publicly in Parliament during his vetting that he did not apply for a job, meaning he's actually sitting in that office to deliver orders or be ordered around or deliver what he has been, asked to deliver. So it is actually a test, and Kenyans are watching to see that. Otherwise, like we hear from Bishop and this phone call, there's a lot of tension, and tension because of the anxiety the people have on ground, whether this would actually be delivered fairly as they purport or they have always been telling us to. So this is a challenge to IEBC, a serious challenge. Should they fail to deliver this as to the expectations of us Kenyans, then I think even getting into 2027, this would be like a preempt of what they intend to do, which would be very, very disappointing.
All right, Nganga Mbogwa here. While speaking, Gachagua also hinted at a conversation where the IG is alleged to surrender command of the police to both the CS and the president executive, that is, further alluding to the fact that, our police were sent to Haiti to benchmark on working with goons. We'll be coming to that, but for now, allow us to cross over to Ol-Kalou, where Cleophas Malala, the DCP deputy party leader, is currently speaking.
Big polling stations. They are moving around with vehicles which have got no registration. There are police officers who are not uniformed and they are not identified, just to intimidate our people. Just a few moments ago, they came at Ol-Kalou shopping center where they tried to intimidate our people by shooting at them, lobbing tear gas at them. But we want to urge our people that we have taken good control and ask every person who is in Ol-Kalou, who voted in the morning, it is now heading to close of polling station. It is your right to go around your polling station and man that polling station. We depend on the people that we are going to guard this election with our blood and sweat. It's quite unfortunate that this incident is happening when the 1,000 police officers who are deployed here are seated in at the luxury of their vehicles. I think I want to call upon the IG to consider himself a very incompetent IG. Because how do you then over-deploy police officers only to oversee violence? But I want to ask the people of Ol-Kalou to remain calm. They are regrouping at the Royal Hotel. They have taken over the Royal Hotel and they have recruited almost 500 goons who want to be distributed in all the polling stations. But we have made good preparation. We have manned all the polling stations, and I'm certain that in the next 1 hour, DCP is going to emerge victorious.
Yes. Deputy Party Leader, you understand that IBC said that there should be no case of people protecting the vote because it is their duty to do that. Don't you think it is against the law for you to tell them to come and protect the vote?
No, we are going to protect our vote. IBC, they are unable to protect our vote. They are unable to give us confidence, and we must protect the vote. We are not asking people to get into the polling station. We are asking people to man the polling station outside the polling station so that these people do not come in and disrupt the tallying. So we are not asking people to get into the polling station. We are asking them to condone the polling station so that we do not have outsiders coming to interfere with the elections. So IBC, first of all, must be called out because all along the election they have been watching the government do all sort of shenanigans to no avail of success. So what we are saying is the youth of Ol-Kalou must protect their votes.
All right, thank you so much, DPL. So that is the situation.
Maybe bana naibu kinara wa chama cha UDA umesema kwamba kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, kwa sababu tunazungumza lugha ya Kiswahili, kuanzia asubuhi umekuwa hapa na pengine kuna baadhi ya wanahabari, kuna baadhi ya wanasiasa ambao wameweza kuzuiwa kuingia katika baadhi ya vituo vya kupigia kura. Nyinyi kama viongozi wa DCP mnasema kwamba vijana waende wa kulinda kura. Pengine mtakuwa mnatofautishaje kulinda kura na pengine kulinda sheria?
Sisi tunasema tunafanya kwa amani kabisa. Umeona hawa majamaa wa serikali wamekuja hapa na tear gas wakipiga watu marisasi wakitaka ku-intimidate watu wetu waende nyumbani. Lakini tunahimiza tu vijana wetu kwamba msitishwe, tukae kwa polling station. Tumeweka security ya kutosha katika kila polling station. Na tumesema kwamba huwezi kuwa unatembea na bunduki na tear gas na magari ambayo hazina namba, alafu unatuambia tuende nyumbani tungoje kuhesabiwa kura. We cannot trust this government. We cannot trust IBC. It is our vote, we must guard our vote.
Yes. Na pengine kutoka hapa, unajua sasa pengine wale ambao ni wafuasi wenu, ukiingia kwenye uchaguzi unasubiri matokeo kuwili, either kushinda ama kushindwa. Nyinyi kama viongozi, matokeo yakienda pengine jinsi kinyume na matarajio yenu, utako kwa wafuasi wenu?
Sisi tumeshinda hii kura. Hakuna kushindwa. Hiyo lugha tusikii. Sisi tumeshinda hii kura. Na tunajua tumeshika hii kura kwa sababu ukiangalia kama hapa hawa watu wote ni watu wamepiga kura na ni watu wa DCP. So hao watakuwa wameshinda kura na kura gani? Hawana hata watu watatu kwa polling station. So sisi tunasema kwamba kura ni tutailinda, itahesabika kihaki na yale matokeo ambayo yatatokea bila shaka pia tunataka serikali wakubali matokeo. Hawatatupiga, hawata-intimidate watu, na tungependa kuambia yule mbunge anaitwa Eric Wamumbi ambaye anatembea na mabunduki kwamba siku zake zinahesabika. Yeye na mke wake Betty Maina, mwambie siku zake zinahesabika. Hawezi kuja kupiga watu wako. Wewe ulitoka kule Nyeri kukuja kupiga watu Ol-Kalou. Sisi tunataka amani itimizwe hakuna mtu atapoteza maisha yake, lakini ni lazima kura yetu ilindwe. So watu wote wa KALOU ambao wanatusikia sasa hivi, tunataka mjitokeze, mtoke kwa manyumba. Msiende kwa nyumba, muende mfunge polling station zote, mungoje results pale. Hakuna mtu yote atakuja pale kupiga mtu yote. Wanapanga kwamba kwa sababu wanajua wameshindwa, wanataka kufanya chaos ikue, alafu waseme kwamba waahirishe uchaguzi. Uchaguzi, kura imepigwa na ni jukumu letu sisi kulinda kura yetu. Asante.
Asante sana.
All right, that right there is DCP, Deputy Party Leader, giving his sentiments on what he and his party members have observed in the by-elections that have and are currently undergoing in KALOU. Remember, we have about 47 minutes to the close of the polls. However, those who will still be on queue will be allowed to cast their votes after 5 p.m., after which votes are expected to be counted. And just to bring you up to speed to part of the news making headlines currently as we speak, is that former ODM Secretary General, that is Edwin Sifuna, has been ousted from his position, and we have a number of people now objecting to him being ousted as the minority whip, and we have Azimio la Umoja, the leader of Azimio la Umoja, who is Kalonzo Musyoka, as well as we have